Hey y'all, welcome back to Book Babble, where we babble about books. We're picking up part two of A Court of Mist and Fury. Right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Since it's been a while, to recap part one, we painfully witnessed Hamlin and Feyre's relationship fall apart. If you want more details, you'll just have to go back and watch part one. We're starting off in Valeris because uh, she became a prisoner. What, did she catch the place on fire? It wasn't on fire. It was just like black
On-
smoke everywhere or something.
Huh?
Was she?
No.
Yeah,
What was on fire?
it was on fire. I don't know. Moore came in, rescued her, took her to what I thought was the House
Whoa.
of Wind, but apparently they're not at the House of Wind. They're somewhere else, and then he takes
I
her.
thought I guess there was fire in there, wasn't there? I thought it was all wind that she pulled around her and
It
like it was
could
like a
very much
tornado.
well been. I just have an active imagination. I like to throw a little bit of stuff in there that was not there at all to
In
make
the
it more
background.
dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She locked herself in a tornado of wind, fire, volcano, blizzard,
Mm-hmm.
and more came and got her out. Yeah.
And I thought they had went to the House of Wind. I thought when she was visiting Rhysand, they were going to the House of Wind on her visits. But then they go to the townhouse because she decides that she's not going back. She wants to go to Valeris, and
Yeah.
she get they're there. He explains, this is my town. This is one of my homes. And then when they're walking around the town, he points up and he's like, and that's the House of Wind where more official things happen. So were they not just at the House of Wind, or were they at a whole separate location?
No, he's a modern man. So the townhouse, I'm pretty sure, is like its own separate thing, and the House of Wind is the official one. That's like carved into the mountain, and you have to fly up or walk 3 million steps.
It was 10,000, I thought.
We don't know that yet.
Oh, well, my bad. I thought he said it there too when they were looking up, and she's like, absolutely not. So I'm not doing that.
The number is not confirmed yet. I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when she gets to there, she has, it's a city, that's all I know. But Cassian, well, we don't know their names yet, do we? I don't think they, but the
No.
Cassian, Az, and Amarin, they're all outside. And he's like, this killed me because he gives her the option to either meet them now or meet them later. And she's like, oh, thank God, I'm going to scurry up the stairs. And she
Yeah.
doesn't hurry enough to where she can't eavesdrops all this stuff.
Yeah.
She's still
Of course.
eavesdropping.
100%. Although, to be fair, I would like probably do the same. I would first be like, no, I'm not in the mood. And then I'd be like, well,
Let
I
me
don't want to miss
linger
it
here a
either.
bit.
I just want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to be involved.
Right. She's going to have to meet him eventually, one way or another. Might as well be a little
Yeah.
prepared.
Right?
What else?
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of time spent in Valeris, and I know we're really supposed to be invested in it, but I was just kind of like, it sounds like a city. Like you're walking in Toronto, like there's an art area.
Right.
I'm sure they have their version of like Chinatown here. But I
Right.
don't know. I was just like, I was kind of bored of the city stuff.
Right, and the only real part of the city that becomes important is the artist alley, which, of course, there's an artist alley, and of course,
Yeah.
it was like Reese's sister's favorite place to be, and
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And she's got to sell her stick figurine drawings somewhere later on down the line. So,
There was a part at the end of this book that I didn't catch, and then I read the Frost and whatever Starlight one
Captain
or whatever.
Starlight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, cute. When I'm going back through this one, I get to that section again and I see it and I'm like, how did I miss that? Oh my gosh, it was literally telling us what she was gonna do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I saw that meme years ago about how she's actually just a shitty artist and he's just supported her the whole time, and now I can't get it out of my head. And like I try to, but anytime she's like, I see it so clearly, I picture a stick picture every time. Every time.
I'm so glad you said that, but we're gonna have to get to that in part 3 because I made a note about it too. Because I know the meme, I've heard it and everything else. But then when you're actually reading it, I'm like, how do people have this perception of her? Why do people think she's such a shitty artist? I don't understand it. Nothing
Yeah.
screams, I'm not great.
Everything sounds great. I know. Even in the first book, the way she describes color, I'm like, wow, yeah, you're artsy. But that meme changed my life.
I get it. I get it. It was funny the first time I seen it, but I still just can't see it, so it's okay though. um.
Okay. So
Oh, we
yeah, they're
also
in
find out.
Valerian.
Well, we also found out she's a, what's the word? Because I call it dementi.
Oh, we're saying oof. Yeah. That's one of those words that I say in my head and in my head alone. Because I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that.
I don't think there's an R in it, but I always want to add an R to it, like dementary.
Or, the Dementors.
It's
I
fucking
said
Harry
Dementor.
Potter now.
Said Dementor for a long time. And then I reread it. I actually towards like the end of this part, and I was like, or in Wings and Ruin. I was like, it's not Dementor. Not even fucking close.
And I listened to the audiobook, so I should know. And
Yeah,
I
you should
still
know.
don't. Okay.
You should be the expert.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, she is a mind influencer.
She's just like Rhys, because of course she is.
Yeah.
And when we get our first thought for thought thing, which becomes like their big thing, and I actually enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of like that they also just overshare, and I think they do it pretty equally. Like, Fair's the first one to be like, oh, I give you 5 thoughts instead of like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But then later on, he kind of like returns the favor. It's not so like tit for tat, and I feel like her and Tamlin's relationship was so like edged in stone. Everything was a compromise. Everything had to be discussed, but they're just like it's a lot more fluid between the two of them.
Okay, she's a lot more comfortable around Rhys.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like Tamlin was just written. The cards were stacked against him because everything that if Tamlin and Feyre had done everything that Rhys and her does, I think it could have worked. Like it. They just,
Yeah.
that's my thought there. Is because if they had this whole back and forth little thing, would it fix things? Maybe. Maybe they just needed to have these deep conversations. She couldn't have them with Tamlin, but she's so easy to have them with Rhys, and I just didn't understand that part. Other than the author just really wrote it to be in his favor, to be like, okay, this is who. Yeah.
100%. I think like to enjoy this book, you got to just accept the character assassination, R.I.P. Tamlin, and just, really believe in the mate thing and how that
hope that there is eventually going to be a character for him, that he might get a redemption arc of some sort.
I will be so mad if that does not happen. Also, this is my crackpot ship, but I would not be mad if he ended up with Elaine. I'm just, it's not perfect. There's Azriel. I don't know what happens with him, but I wouldn't be mad. She likes flowers.
Those. Right, she would fit in the spring court, just merely
She's
on that.
For it.
And she wanted to be. I feel like we're diving into Silver Flame territory here, but I do think like she wanted to be just that lady of the house and do all that thing. She would have been perfect for Tamlin to be her little doll and stuff.
Yeah, her strength is being like ultra feminine, which Feyre can't do, but she's totally for that. She'd host your dinner party any time of the week, and she'd disappear quietly when you got to talk politics.
Right? She would. I think they would be a good couple. As much as I
Yeah.
would love it to be as, but
Oh, you're an Asriel shipper?
I do. I mean, I don't know if I ship them because for the longest I was all like him and more, him and more.
Oh,
Through this
oh.
entire book, I kept like sitting there and I was like, "Are they a throuple?"
I thought for sure a throuple. And then I will say I don't love how SJM handles any queer character. It's like
Well,
it hurts
I
my
don't
head.
have any experience with knowing how she. This is my first series, and I'm just now getting to the queer character, in my opinion. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, you waited a while to introduce them. I will say that, but other than that, I don't know yet how I feel about it. But I have heard that she's not the best about it either.
No, not at all.
So, but I was convinced before knowing anything that these two were going to be together and that it was going to be deeper than this bargain bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
finally get, they go up to House of Wind to meet the inner circle. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a part there with Amarin where Amarin, what is it she does? I don't want to say she
Oh, I
sniffs
think she's
theirs.
yeah,
Uh,
she
yeah,
sniffs.
she sniffs again, and I've never felt so laid bare. Surprise was in her eyes, and Rhys just nods. Okay, so theories.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm trying to like I remember thinking that too, and that it was so weird that this old creature just sniffs you. I was like,
Right.
what the heck?
And she's like this tiny little petite woman, which we're all picturing Edna Mode from Incredibles. That's what I've been told. And
Yes.
it was fitting because once I seen that and made that connection, I was like, oh my god, she is.
Yeah. She totally sounds like her. She brings up the fact that they're born something else and trapped in new strange bodies, and then that's Miriam's kind of introduction. And
Yeah,
then
the
we just
first
never
time
hear
she's
about Miriam.
mentioned. And then she
Yeah.
doesn't get mentioned again until randomly at when they're visiting the, wait, no, yeah, when they're meeting the queens.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then afterwards, then we get like a whole laydown. And I was like,
And it's
oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, then it's like Wings and Ruin. Like, it's a while.
I think that I've noticed that with that. I understand why the fandom is the way that they are. Like, they read it so much to find little clues that would hint it to something else, like a
Hmm.
little detective up in there. It's like, okay.
I get it, but then I also saw her interview where she's like, sometimes I just write things and then I forget I wrote them. And I'm like, what?
Oh my god.
I devoted hours to researching this and you forgot, bitch? Like,
That's horrible. Oh
yeah.
my god.
She'll be like, I just write what's in my head. And I'm like, that is traumatizing for your fans, just so you know.
It makes me worried. Like, where's the next book's gonna go then? She don't
Oh, she
even know.
doesn't.
She says she knows. I did watch a few of her interviews, and she's like, I know the next like 5 books, and they're all a part different series. And I was like, well, you only have 2 series going, so
Right? Right?
where's
Sure,
the
ma'am.
math? And I know the next book is going to be an ACOTAR book.
Yeah. Just like Throne of Glass was done, but now it's not. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, see that? Don't say that. I hope it's done. I need one of these series to be a complete series.
Oh no. I don't know if she's gonna, I don't know. This is like after you get into Crescent City and everything starts to connect because she's doing like a whole Stephen King slash Marvel where like all these universes are somehow going to connect.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know if
heard
she'll
that
write
theory
like a
too.
new. Oh yeah, there's crossovers and I don't know if she'll write like a Throne of Glass book or just those characters will come back or what, but
Well, I take that part.
we're gonna find out.
So, what is it? We get to the inner circle.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone calls Rhys Shadow Daddy, but Azrael's actually kind of the Shadow
He
Daddy.
is. He literally is. He has them whispering in his ear.
Constantly,
Oh my god.
which sounded so hot the first time I read it. And then I was like laying in bed one night and I was like, oh my god, he'd be able to see me right now.
I
Like
was
only seeing me at my
scared.
worst. when the lights are off is when I don't care. Like I said, all my chins are out. Nothing looks good. Like, I'm not winning this guy.
No.
I do have to say, and I know everyone loves him, but I am not a huge Cassian fan.
I like his humor, his like little personality. Like I
Mhm.
don't know what it is, but him, no.
Right? And he does like some stand-up acts across the whole series. He's like a good guy. But his name comes on the page and I'm like, eh.
I don't
I
know.
think
I call
I'm
him
just not a
Cap,
himbo.
so a himbo. Is he a himbo though?
He's
Like I
like,
guess he
those
is.
are attractive, beefy guys, right? I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm
fair.
also mid, so. And then yeah, oh, and then they show us their siphons.
Yeah.
The two guys.
Well, at the time they only have like what, two?
I think they only wear the two, yeah, on the backs
Yeah.
of their hands or something like that. They only wear two. They're 7 when they're in full glory there.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's a little fucking much. But I guess because Illyrians have a killing power, that's all it is described as.
Oh man, the way powers are described.
No, you can tell like who's the more fleshed out characters because their power is
Yeah,
in detail, it's specific, and then you have other characters that are just like, oh, their power is truth, or it
true,
was a great
true.
big Amaranth, what was it? They described her power as, I can't remember, some ancient power or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
there's
it
no
doesn't
real
tell you
description.
exactly what it was.
She's an ancient being, and I'm like, what's that mean? What is that?
And then poor Moore, like literally the only thing we know is that she's Rhys's cousin and she was born in the Court of Nightmares and that her power is truth.
And I'm pretty sure it's in part 2 that she uses her power, isn't it?
I don't know.
Or
I know
maybe it's part 3.
I think it's no, it's in part 2 because it's when they go see the Mortal Queens because she doesn't go the first time. She goes with the Mortal Queens. And then she's like, I am the Morgana, you know my power to be truth or something like that. Shit.
Oh no, that's part 3. That is part 3.
No, it's part
But
2.
yeah,
I'm looking at it.
I'm staring at it. What do you mean? It's 550.
It might be also in like part 3 because you remember they go back and visit the
Oh,
queens
right.
again, and she's
Yeah.
talking again.
They have the thing.
Yeah, the thing
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
truth because it's in
I'm
her
looking at the
family
thing.
line.
Yeah, because truth is
It's just
truth is
something.
their thing.
Yeah,
Is it Morgan from King Arthur's Tale? Like the whole time I was like, this poor character is just a mishmash of whatever she was feeling at the moment that she wrote something down
I
about
was
her.
gonna say I've seen a TikTok that was explaining like her name, and I don't. It was some kind of lore. I don't know if it was like Viking or Nordic. It was something, and that she was a goddess of something else, and then it was said to make sense, but obviously didn't make much sense because I didn't retain any of it. I don't know because for the long I call her Morgana, but apparently when you listen to other people they call her Morgan.
Yeah, because you listened to the book.
No, that's what I'm saying, but I could not because she was referred to more in the audiobooks. That's what I knew her as. And then you find out her actual name, and I just don't remember what it was. I don't.
Oh my god, that's stupid. I'm gonna make you be the go-to for all pronunciations, just
Absolutely
because you
not.
don't remember any of them.
We're at the House of Wind. I don't think we've skipped anything other really important.
No, I feel like I spend so much time at this dinner, and I get it. We're like
We
meeting
do
everyone.
because we
and
learned the
stuff,
Bat Boys' entire fucking history. Like
but the whole thing, just verbal diarrhea came out of everyone's mouth at this dinner.
and that happens a lot, I've noticed. There's just parts in this book where they just like, here's some information. Take it all at once. Ooh, my bad. Knocked my mic.
Got too excited.
I did.
Yeah. There's so much. I'm just like flipping through it, and it is never ending.
Right. Because we learned the Inner Circle War. We're all bastards.
And yeah, and then I was literally staring at. We are bastards, you know.
Right.
We get the Inner Circle lore, and then we get like the title lore with Az's Shadow Singer staff, the Illyrian staff. Oh god, it's just Rhys's mother tells about that.
Oh yeah, that she's a.
She was a seamstress.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Yeah. Later, it's the little informations like that that you're like, oh, okay. It's just could be
Yeah,
so easily just overlooked and passed on, and then later down the road, you're like, oh my god.
yeah. And then we get the creepy. It's a creep. I really hate some of the Illyrian stuff. Like when it's talking about how she took like herbs to stop her natural bleeding, and then like her bleeding finally arrives and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time and someone sensed it, and I'm like, oh, gross. Why is this
Listen,
a thing?
that it is a thing, and it's not even just in this. I thought that was there was so many points in here, like I don't know if I should say this. It's very cringy and embarrassing, but like those audiobooks, you know, the werewolf audiobooks that I ended up
Oh
listening to and shit
yeah.
like that. These fucking Illyrians, or are they fucking werewolves? Because they do that shit too.
I haven't Googled it. I probably should have. Like maybe it's a bat thing because they're always called the Bat Boys. But every
I thought
time the
that was.
scent thing comes up, I'm like, are these dogs?
Well, I was to say, like, but the
Vampires?
sense thing is so inconsistent because, like, sometimes they can be like, oh, I smell the fear or something off of them. And then there's other situations, like, even when she's in the Weaver, she could smell the fear coming off the spools, but the Weaver can't smell the fear coming off of her.
Right?
I need
And
consistency.
no one smells her watery bowels in this entire series. Come
Okay,
on.
I kept my eye out for watery bowels, and other than like once, I did
Oh,
not see it anywhere. I don't know if I was just
oh.
overlooking it or what. I
We
don't
start
understand.
slow. I think, it's probably an editing choice not to have too many watery bowels with the spicy romance book. But book 3, man, just buckle up.
Okay, they are all entering these camps. Cassian was at what 4? Rhysand
Oh,
was 8. I'm sorry. I have 4-year-old and 8-year-olds nephews. There ain't no fucking way.
you're not giving them weapons. That's gonna hurt you.
Absolutely not. And then
I
fighting
didn't realize
amongst
they were
each other
that
is
young.
encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, someone's gonna lose
I don't
an
know why I
eye.
thought they were like 12, but no, it's when I turned 8. My mom brought me to one of the Illyrian war camps.
Yes, and then
Jesus.
Cassian thrown into camp as a child to basically die, is what my note said. Because Cassian's mom was not a slave, but she was a low-born servant or something of the sort, right?
Yeah, because he is not high fae. At some point, he like gives Feyre a little lecture on that one.
Yeah, he's just nothing but a bastard.
Yeah.
Nothing special about Cassian.
Just his 7 siphons.
Right. But yeah, as soon as like he was weaned off the tit, he was basically thrown in there to see if you die or not. And then what was it? Az got thrown in there when his shadow singer started to manifest, but I couldn't find an age for him.
No, I think she gave up on the details by that point.
Right.
She knew I was most intrigued by him, and she was like, not today.
He's got to stay the mystery.
Right?
It's
Like
not his time to shine yet.
It's so, yeah, and she makes it so obvious because I'm like, we get all these details, but then I want to know, like, how did his things manifest? Who caught him? Like, we know that Rhys's dad sniffed out his wife's period, and that's how they fell in love. Well, they don't really love each other, but whatever. But then, like, Az and his whole powers manifesting, it's just like, it happened, and now he's here with us. I'm like, what? Details! So they train, they go to war. They bond over killing things together and seeing things die.
She's like, yeah, I'll work with you. They're gonna go see the bone carver, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know why, but like instantly, we're off to see the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard. I started just playing in my head.
I was trying to see if Morris said anything, but she doesn't.
Oh, she was very
add
simple
much.
and to the point. Well, I was born in the
Yeah.
Court of Nightmares, and I got out. Another
Yeah.
person we're just gonna keep very in the dark, not really detailed. But I mean, throughout the story, we get a little more of her information.
Yeah. For right now, she's just kind of like, I have this trauma and I understand you,
Right.
but I will not share.
You marked page 182, and I was like, this is not the bargain bond in quotes, and I'm trying to figure out why.
On 182. Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably the
This bond is a living
when he
thing,
felt her.
an open channel between us, shaped by my powers, shaped ... by what you needed when we made the bargain.
Yeah.
She's like,
I
you needed to not be alone, okay? I'm sorry. To me, this is when I officially was like, no, this is not just a bargain bond, because she needed to not be alone. Only fated bonds snap into place when you're destined to find the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life. You know that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of him sitting there pointing at the TV or whatever? That was me the entire time of this book, because you were not
cigarette in one hand, beer in the other. Like, that's it.
I'm telling you, you were not convincing me that it could be anything else.
Yeah. And then I loved the nightmare that she has there. And it's like kind of gross because he wakes her up from it and she ends up puking, and it's
he
like
sits there with her though.
Yeah,
something
he
Tamlin
holds
never
her
did.
hand. Yeah, he holds her, not her hands, or her hair. And I was like, thank you. That's all you need.
Because he shows her vulnerability like every now and then. He like shows her, you think I'm this horrible person, but I'm really not.
I know, and like we're so separated from the events of the first book.
Yeah.
And when I first read this, I was like, "Why? We already know you're a good guy. You're holding her hair." And then I had to remind myself that like this is the guy who dressed her half naked and paraded her and got her drunk.
I don't even
so
think
she would forget
remembers
everything.
that though. I don't even think that's done removed out of her mind, I think.
Yeah.
The prison location.
Yeah. And she straight up chickens out.
I
She's
know.
Like, no.
I know, and then the next day, Amarin, she just wakes up and Amarin's standing at the end of her bed, like jumping scared. It's like absolutely
like
fucking
a kid.
not.
It's like a kid standing there and being like, I gotta go to the bathroom. You're like, ah.
What I was just picturing is just waking up. That's like my nightmare fuel, is just to wake up and someone be staring at me. Ugh.
Oh, it's hard. If you're like, it wasn't too bad for Chad when we had kids because he's a chicken. So like, his first reaction is flight. Mine's fight. So like, once the kids could start walking and they just started showing up in my room at night, I would like wake up and then I'd be like, fist up, and I'd be like, no, it's your child. Can't
like,
strike them.
But like it's the going in there and not saying anything, just watching you sleep.
Yeah.
Like all my littles always come in there, and as soon as they come in, they don't sit there and watch me sleep. They're like, can we get up and go eat or play, whatever. They come and let me know. They don't just sit there and lurk. And I just wonder, how long did Amarin sit there and watch Feyre sleep for her to wake up like that? I just picture her sitting there just judging her like, she drools. Does she know she snores? Why is she stink?
Also, she was in bed like a full 24 hours because she didn't get out of bed after she chickened out of that prison. So Amarin was probably just like, girl, how long are you going to be in bed? Like, stop moping. Get up. I actually love the bone carver. Like, when we finally, because then they go and she doesn't chicken out because she's got her amulet. And I don't know. I think he's probably the best character out of like all the main, out of the non-main ones.
I would like a side story of him, like especially when you find out like a little bit more about him in the third book, and now I'm like very intrigued. Obviously, we're gonna get something sprinkled in there just because they were mentioned. I would like a deep dive, please.
Right? I went from birth to death, everything. Like, Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
there was one grievance I had with like them going to this island, and I guess it's part of that inconsistency thing. But like Rhys tells her not to say anything she didn't want heard because the prisoners would sell that information. But who would they sell it to?
oh,
Because
they
he,
filmed it too.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Because then later down the road, he's like, no one can get in here but me. And I'm like, sir, what was the point of that?
Yeah. And
Especially
like,
since he's just sitting there telling them, we learn about like what happened to Az's hand and shit. Like, is that not valuable information nobody should know?
right? If I think about the prison too much, I have a lot of questions about it. Like, there's guards there, but they only come out for feeding time. The bone carver eat. Like, I don't think he ever makes mention of it. He just likes to carve shit into bones, literally.
Right.
So, I don't know. And then you couldn't figure out a magic system. I don't. Whatever. I'm accepting it. I accepted the prison as is, even though I have a lot of questions.
Right. I don't blame you. What was it? Oh, and we find out that the bone carver appears however he wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does. And he's a little boy for Feyre. Feyre.
Yeah, but see, that's where I don't. Again, Farrah just doesn't ask enough questions for me.
Right?
Because
She doesn't recognize this little boy or anything. And then I'm pretty sure Rhys told her how he appears for him, and she never
Jerian.
thinks to be like, well, yeah. She never thinks to be
But
like,
no,
well, he showed
she
up as a
has
little boy for me.
I was like, but yeah, she never asked why was it different. She even acknowledges I didn't even want to question how did the bone carver come to know who we came to ask about. And I'm like, girl, why you already there? You're already
Mhm.
halfway. Just go ahead.
I think this was my point, where I was starting to figure out the whole fated mates. Because the other point where you were like, oh, I got it, I just thought that was a cute moment between them. But when she re-explains like dying and what made her stay and that there was a thread and a tether, that's when I was like, oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
This is going to be a mate thing. Like that the bone carver asked if there was a light at the end of the tunnel.
Like, no, motherfucker, it was black. It was pitch black. They lied to all of us.
Oh my gosh. I also thought it was super funny when he had to tell him something that no one else knows. And he's like, oh yeah, my knee
I
hurts
know.
when it
Farrah's
rains.
over here just pouring her heart out, giving all the deepest, darkest, like, the truth. This man's like, I got a bum knee. Nobody knows about it. So nobody's ever noticed you limping or rubbing at your knee because it hurts. Like,
That guy saw an opportunity and he ran with it. He was like, nah, you didn't specify, man.
And the bone carver loves it, though. He's like, you're my favorite.
100%. You gotta recognize when you got played. You're just like, yeah, that's fine.
What else is there? We learn. So we get confirmed. King of Hybern has the cauldron. We learn the cauldron, what the hell it is.
Yeah. And then the 3 temples, which I immediately forgot. And then when the one became important later on, I was like, huh, never heard of that before until I was rereading this. I was like, I am an idiot. Okay, it's right there.
Yeah, see, even now you say that, and I'm just like, blank space. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What do you mean? But we do find that this book thing, right? The reason why she has to learn to read is because they're looking for a fucking book.
Yeah, the Book of Breathing?
Yeah, and it's split up into 2 parts. So Summer Court has one half, and the Mortal Queens have the others.
I think that's really it for the big visit.
Right?
Yeah. And then there's just more, I hate to say fluff, but fluff until we get to the Weaver. It's just really more like info dumps.
So much info dump.
A lot of sitting around being like, what are we going to do, guys? Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Like,
take over the world.
Take over the world. I love the Weaver too. She's like, oh no, I skipped over the part that I did really like when they're getting ready for the Weaver and he puts her fighting leathers on.
Listen.
I
So
was so down with that.
I don't know. I guess I just like I read it, but I didn't think about it. And then we had our
Oh
little
man.
tit and tat on Twitter about it. And I went back and read it and I was like, oh, he does put on the Illyrian. Okay. But
Yeah.
in my notes, when he goes, did you enjoy the sight of me kneeling before you? I
Yeah.
highlighted that. Even though I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, no, but I like the sound of it coming out of your mouth.
Oh no, I loved this whole scene because like his hands are all over her legs, and even the last his hands slid down to cup the backs of my knees. Like, slid down, sir. How far up my thighs did they start? I'm intrigued. Like,
Used her,
yeah,
her leg to get down on his knee.
just that image. He's on his knees. He's got both hands all up on her knees, looking up at her. I'm like, okay, you guys are definitely gonna get together and hook up.
It's platonic. What are you talking about?
I
He's
want
just
to buy
helping
leathers.
her.
Someone put my leathers on me.
Oh, but yeah, then they do go to the Weaver.
She's scary.
I mean,
She's not written scary. Like, I feel like the whole book's kind of written very happy for some of the stuff that gets presented. But this is one of those ones I could see in a movie or like a TV show and be like, oh damn, this is a Witcher situation. Like,
oh, not just that, like the crawling up the fucking chimney. I don't do things that are crawly. I am terrified of contortionists. Like, that is right up in my little fear bubble. And I was able to visualize this way too fucking well. And she's
oh
over there
man.
panicking. And you know what? I was like, you know what, Fair? I can't even fucking blame you because I would too.
Yeah.
She chunked that
She
brick
gotta
at that
crawl
bitch's
through, like,
face and I was excited for her.
all the fat and the hair clinging to her.
No, okay,
Oh,
listen.
the grease. You'd have to scrub for days.
I could not. That would disgust me. I have a weak stomach.
And she hyped herself up for it so
Before
good
she's
too.
like, I'm a wolf, and I'm like, no,
Right?
you're not. Calm down.
She was a wolf right up till that Weaver stopped weaving, and then she was like, "Oh shit, I'm a mouse."
I know, and this whole time she's like, I'm on borrowed time, but you are taking the longest observing the way the room looks. Time to sit here, do this. Think about this song that the Weaver is singing about, which
She got through that whole song. Yeah.
And you still are standing there when you were told to grab it and go. You gotta get in and get out. And then even when the Weaver did sense her there, she lingered again. Like, run, bitch, run.
And she keeps saying, "I was a wolf, I was a wolf," and then she'll just be like, "Oh fuck." She's like, "I'm cornered," and then she knocks over a candle or something.
Oh yeah, she threw. No,
Like,
she
throws
took
the
a
candle.
fireball to the thread on the wall.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna crawl up that chimney. It's a tight squeeze, but wide enough for me." And then she gets stuck.
Of course she gets stuck.
No!
Of course she's panicking and she only gets out because someone's like, calm down and think.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, because she throws a brick in the Weaver's face.
I know. I was so excited for that. I was actually like cheering at that point.
I really like how pissed she is at Rhys.
I know I was just looking at that and she was like, I'd probably stab him in the gut and the blood would dribble out. How he'd grown in pain. I'm like, man, that is so fucking dark. You couldn't even imagine blood, and now you're sitting here imagining murdering people because they pissed you off.
Right.
Alrighty then.
I just love that Feyre can, like, she can't have anything in the middle. She's either got Tamlin, who's going to lock her in a house. She's not even going to get a paper cut under his watch. And then she's got Rhys, our knight in shining armor, was like, yeah, get in there. That girl's just weaving some wool. You'll be fine. It's like,
you got this,
I'm
cupcake.
covered in boiled fat, sir. I almost got eaten alive. Like,
and he does that multiple times where he just like throws her in there. And then when she leaves, he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, sir, you knew she just had like a big old panic attack up in there. You know she's not doing right now, and you're just like, it's just
Oh,
Tuesday.
I love it because she shows up and he literally puts a finger to his lips, like, shut up, bitch. Like,
and it just gets him out.
And Amren's line kills me. You smell like a barbecue. I'm like, okay, calm down, Satan.
You don't even eat food. Stop.
Right? And I guess it would smell good to her since she drinks blood.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing of the Feyre just forgets about her fear of red, because they're sitting there having that dinner and Amaran's drinking blood right in front of her. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. She can't see the color red, like dresses, paint color, but Amren can drink blood at a table, and she's like, ah, yes, makes sense. It's spiced nicely.
It's just completely gone.
I also feel like Rhys like gaslights her when she's like, I could have used some help. And he's like, you survived and you helped yourself. And you're like, fuck you, I almost died.
Right. But and she thinks that she went in there and just got this ring because of like,
yeah, to see if she can recognize the powers that she needs to like find Rhys's thing amongst all other things.
Because like calls to like.
Stop it. That sentence. Oh man. There's some sentences that I hope are never used again in this series, and that's definitely one of them.
Right. Listen, I've read the word cauldron so many times in this book, and I still misspell it when I put it in my notes. I can't help it. I'm so illiterate.
I literally looked up DeMonte and I already forgot how to say it because I'm not staring at it. So I'm there with you. I know they kind of get back, they chat with Amren, and then he gives her his like kind of apology by showing her
Ianthe,
sexual memory
predator.
The legit predator. I honestly think like we feel so bad for Feyre, but if you start to think about how many times Rhys is sexually assaulted or raped in these books, it's a lot.
It really is.
Like 50 years with Amarantha, he's got Anthe pawing at him. Like, it's just, there's a lot for this poor guy.
I know, I feel bad for him. And then I got to sit in there thinking, because she instantly thinks about Lucian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wondered about Tamlin. Like, would Tamlin be too high in power for her to try and attempt? Because she did attempt it with
well, I don't know, because like Rhys is stronger. Like it's said a couple times that Rhys is stronger than Tamlin, but yeah, there's no mention of her ever like going after Tamlin. I thought she thought he was too dumb. That was where I went with it. Because why else wouldn't you? It's like an easy kind of power trip, but she's kind of already got all the access she needs to Springcourt without having to do that with Tamlin.
Yeah.
He just eats up her rhetoric.
Yeah, because it's exactly what he needs to hear or wants to hear.
Yeah.
And then we learned a little more about Moore's story. So we basically learned that, like, just like the Illyrian people, Night Court practice that whole same thing of the females being what? Well, okay, with the Illyrians, they get their wings clipped when they first bleed. When at the Night Court, you have your first bleed, you get sold off to another lord and stuff. Yeah, and then that's about where she ends that. She's like, the rest of the story is long and awful, and I'll tell you some other time. She came there to tell her that she's not going with her and the sisters.
Right, and I never really got why she didn't want to go.
Right.
To be honest.
Well, she did say something about the other people. She wouldn't know how she would act around everyone else.
But yeah, but then you find out her story, and I'm like, huh? I don't know. It just doesn't.
It felt out of place. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she needed to tell us a little bit more about more to build her character up, but we're gonna just throw it in right here because the only thing really that comes out of it is Farrah realized like she could actually be friends with more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And
she
like
gets
I don't even think more needs to go other than to meet her sisters if they were friends, but they're not going for like a hey, let's meet the family. Like they're going to get something accomplished. So I don't know. It felt odd. It did, like you said, it felt like just a way to kind of shoehorn this little nugget of information.
yeah, because then the only other thing that in that exchange was pointing out that Farrah notices the thruple energy, like she can notice
Mm-hmm.
that shit. She can notice the shit later when she goes to her sister between Cassie and Nesta, but she can't see what the fuck's right in front of her.
She,
She makes all these damn
we all know
observations,
she's blind.
but you can't. 2 + 2 is
We
4,
know. We
Farrah.
all know.
Gosh.
We just have to accept some things when we read this book, and one
No.
of them is that Sarah is blind. Okay, it's very selective, the blindness, but it's there, and it's strong.
The bitch get on my nerves.
Um,
But then they go and visit
we
the
get to
sisters.
my favorite character, Nesta.
I
She's
know.
back.
My first
She's
note was
so
like,
scary.
here comes Farrah to drag more face shit into their lives after literally because the last time she seen them was before she went under the mountain. Remember all that shit? Nesta told her, do not come back. Don't send
Right?
nobody here.
Don't
She
live
done
your
tried
best
to send
life.
somebody.
You're bigger than this. You're better than this. Get out of here. We're gonna, make do. And then she comes back like, suckers.
All right, and it took me a minute because
Right
I
back into
forgot that
politics.
she was human last time she was there, and now she's not. She's a fae.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
love Nesta.
And I love
She's
how
so
Elaine just has no faith in her and just like, I thought you were dead. Yes, granted, she did fucking die. But Elaine, she took care of your ass for how many years and you think she was just gonna die? I love the encouragement and the support.
I ended up liking Elaine's character, but when you like write down the shit she's done, you're like, girl, you're dumb. You're the kind of dumb that hurts people. Like,
I finally
yeah.
got a TikTok on my For You page the other day that was saying exactly what you said about how she loved the garden, but just flowers, couldn't plant
Not
anything that's
potatoes,
useful.
carrots,
I was like,
broccoli,
damn.
leafy greens. No, just flowers. And then doesn't even sell the flowers. I can't.
And even Farrah, before she gets there too with it, she's she has the second guess. She's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely drag my sisters into this. And then she gets there, knocks on the door, and then she's like, oh wait, never mind. I'm like, it's too fucking late now, Farrah. You should have done that earlier.
So your court's there, and you're like, uh-oh, this could be trouble. You know who did, or who's starting the redemption arc that they don't deserve? But
Who?
like, Farrah's dad. Because he got this money, and he's off trading. He's actually working. And he was in a pit of despair last time we saw him.
That's right.
One leg short.
Tamlin only got him so far off of his feet. He was going to be responsible to actually keep that up.
Yeah, but he did it. Hobbling out there in the world.
Yep.
Good for him.
I wonder if his leg got fixed by a tonic or something. I thought.
Did it? No.
Yes, I thought there was something about he got like someone offered him a tonic to fix his leg, and then like a few days later somebody came back and wanted to invest some money, and so that's what they did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just pictured him getting a really nice peg leg in my head.
Officially a fucking pirate.
Someone showed up with a really coincidentally well-fitting orthotic for him, and it was life-changing.
I was about to say, but you could think, why? It's not that his leg didn't work. It was just like banged up a bit. Like he didn't like to put too much pressure on it. For him to have a peg leg means they'd had to have cut his entire fucking leg off. That would be more damage than what he was already dealing with.
the times, you know? Unless they're magic, this sounds medieval time-ish. So I was just thinking they upgraded him the best they could at that time.
Give him a
Like,
fey
chop
leg.
him off and give him a. They could carve it out of oak or ash,
Ash
you know,
open
and
it
then
with
he'd
a
have a
blade at
built-in
the end.
weapon.
Yes, and he
Yeah.
could like stab people with his back leg. Or
Yeah.
the fey.
The toe retracts and a blade pops out.
Oh my god, get it to the cobbler.
I'm gonna write a fan fiction about this guy's leg. It took me a while to clue in to like, well, not clue in. I did know that like Farah and Rhys would get together, but Nesta and Cassian to me just have immediate
It was like
chemistry.
right smack.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is gonna happen. Just so you know.
She's there with full on bitch face, not in the mood for anything. And he's like, "Damn, you're hot," basically, and she's like, "Ew, loser," and he just eats that up, and I loved that.
Stan invited them to Valeris. He's like, I'll never set foot there.
Yeah.
Thank your helpfulness. I'm gonna rely on the queens.
She's got a few good bangers when she's just like, "Our food ain't good enough for you." And I'm like,
Right.
but then Farrah kind of holds her own when she's like, "I can what, fuck, fight, and something else as well as I ever could."
Yeah.
Oh, so you can't eat normal food anymore. I love that she throws normal in there. Then even when Farrah gets back at her with the eat, drink, fucking fight just as well as I did before, then she just laughs at her. Like Nesta's just like, "Oh, okay, fine." And then Cassian even tries to like comes to Farrah's defense and like tries to guilt her about, "Oh, you let your younger sister."
And Nesta just dismisses him like, why are you talking? I didn't address you, boy.
It's like a fly buzzing around, but it's a fruit fly. It's not even like a big one, so you don't care. You're just like, okay. And he's so immediately pissed off about it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I also love poor Elaine's just there, like,
You
guys,
guys.
don't fight. We're all friends. I feel like Elaine and Azriel this whole time. You know how like have you ever told a story and then no one else listens to the story and it's like a party and then you look over and there's one person
Making
listening and
contact, yeah.
they're giving you like that aggressive eye contact to be like, yeah, I've been here. I'm here the whole time.
That's every bit of that.
I'm invested with you. That's what I feel like Elaine and Azriel are. They're just like, we're having a good dinner, right? This is polite. Fun combo.
They're the peacekeepers.
Everything else is on fire and they're just like, this is fun. Uh-huh.
The conversation about her birthday.
Is that already?
I think so.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
when they're up there in the room, if I'm not yeah, right there.
Yeah, you're right. And then because he's like, I don't remember you celebrating it. And she's like,
where
I
was
didn't.
she? She wasn't with him. Was she
No,
under the mountain? Of course she's not fucking celebrating it then.
I think she would have been with Tamlin.
After or
which
before?
I thought was like...
I feel like that's a big time shift there, that everything is either, you know, like how they have before cries, after cries kind of thing, but like it's before the under the mountain
or
and
the
after
mountain. The mountain. When I first read it, I assumed it was after, but it might be before the mountain. No, it's after. What am I? It has to be after because they have to have met and have their little bond.
Maybe. I don't know. I just know he was very intentive. I'm like, were you really born on winter solstice? And at first I was like, well, did he find a surreal and have someone tell him, like, oh, you know, your loved one is gonna be the woman born on winter solstice? And then I was like, well, isn't that also like the longest night? So maybe that's the connection there. But I thought it was weird that it was kind of put out there as a thing. So I was like, is this important? I'm already in my whole pointing out things like what needs to be remembered and what's not.
This is a Leo moment. This is another Leo. It's the thing. No, okay. I'm like 90% confident that this is after the mountain because I definitely read it as like he was kind of keeping tabs on her, even though she didn't know it could be a two-way street.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense because we don't know about it either until till then.
Yeah. I think she tells us in the first book,
I don't remember.
actually.
It's that insignificant. My little brain.
This was 500 pages ago, okay?
Right? It's crazy to be like, oh, that one
We're
detail.
forgetting.
Was that
We're forgetting.
important? Oh, we'll find out later.
It's probably I bet you it's back with the dresser drawer thing, which I didn't was like nothing clued in for that. And then when that gets revealed, I'm like, yeah, look at that.
That makes sense, and it even
Like,
makes sense for like it all makes sense. Like the
so many
Elaine's
things.
is very on the nose.
Yep.
Nesta's was a bit of a, even after reading this book, I was like, hell, her reasonings for it. Okay, yeah, whatever. But then what happens in Silver Flame, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And then that whole situation with Rhys, I was like, okay, I see you there.
Yeah,
That was something I did not suspect.
That whole sentence you just went through was definitely code, but I understood all of it.
I think people that heard it, if they've already read through, they will too. Also,
We're gonna know. If they haven't, they're gonna be like, huh? What?
Next time in the intro, I need to just like input a spoiler thing also, because I meant to, and I totally. So here's your spoil warning now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think I spoiled within the first minute. I accidentally dropped the M word and was like, huh? We don't know any of that.
Listen.
Yeah.
I'm telling you based off of my feeling, whether we know it or not. This is how I perceived it. It's how I perceived it the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Oh, and then okay, so they're there. Next day, we get a surprise visit, and honestly, I don't think the otter's scary. Maybe it's because I just cannot picture the otter. I even looked at the fan art, and I'm just like, he's not that fucking scary. So
this whole time I've been saying Ator. Is it supposed to be Ador?
I've been calling it the otter. Like, I know otter is spelled with an O.
And they're so cute. And I
but that's how my brain wants to pronounce it. Sorry.
All right.
Otters. But yeah, that's what I'm calling it, is the otter.
I just keep picturing a cute little otter floating on its back every time you say that. But yeah, we've got the forced, well, it's not really forced, but like their alone time with their training, which is really just an excuse to be physical, but whatever. I'm buying it.
Yeah, that was just a reason for them to flirt.
100%. And then then when she gets mad and she's chasing him through the forest and all that, and she finally does the winnowing or whatever, but then they end up like he's on his back in the snow. I was like, okay, all right. Here we go. He's a 500-year-old Fae man who survived wars, but she got him on his back. And I'm here for it.
I surprised him because he wasn't expecting it. It makes sense.
Oh, yeah. She got the drop on him.
All right. And then she didn't have to hit him with that Valeris is at my home. Like, bitch, you're so rude. Stop.
Yeah. She's so mean. She
kick him where it hurts, why don't you?
She's like that feral cat that you adopt and it does really well, and then one day it just decides like fuck you and bites your hand. And you're like, what? Why?
Get a nice torture sesh.
Yeah. Yep. Azrael doing his work. And then his blade. Which becomes super important. I don't know how. Because I haven't read the third Crescent City book. But I do know Truth Teller is an important piece of metal.
Okay, good to know. I haven't read any of those yet.
I haven't read the third one. But then so many people pointed out all these crossovers, and now I'm like, oh. So then we started doing these, and I was like, I need to pay attention because apparently some of this stuff does come up in Crescent City.
That's what I was told, and that's why I was like, I'm gonna read that next instead of Game of Thrones or Game of Thrones. Fuck. Third of Glass. Damn. Fuck. Okay.
You know, it's like the romantic Game of Thrones, to be fair.
I
I think
mean, if
someone died.
incest is your cup of tea, so could have Game of Thrones been a romantic.
Could have been a romantasy for you.
My opinion, I didn't think the otter really gave him anything good to know.
No, not really. Not really anything new.
Yeah, no. But it did result in her and writing Tamlin after it. I guess
Mhm.
something that the otter said made her write a note to Tamlin. And I love that Rhysand, she gives it to Rhysand to send it, and he sends it, and then he's like, "Are you sure?" Like, maybe ask that before. Obviously, you were gonna send it regardless, and I love
Right?
that you're gonna pretend like you weren't.
There was no choice. That's like when you're drunk and you give your phone to your friend to be like, "Hey, I typed this up. Should I send this to my ex?" And then they send it and hand it back like, "Yeah, you should send that." You're like, "You did it already.
Right?
What's done is done."
But they decide that they're gonna take that stroll through Valeris.
Oh yeah.
And I love that when she found out that the other inner circle is going to be there, she kind of gets like, oh, she wanted it to just be them.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But then it ends up just being them.
At the end, it didn't start off that way,
Mhm.
but eventually it did.
Yeah, because then they have the weird, awkward, I'm gonna go dancing
Yeah. That's
thing.
when the thruple vibes were really there.
We're really strong.
I was like, okay.
And this is where she figures out the music, isn't it?
I think so.
I thought so. Yeah, this is when she figures out that he's the one who sent the music down into her cell.
Yeah.
And he
I was
said
so
it was
excited for that. I was like, oh my
breaking.
god.
That was a moment. That was a big moment. Because you were breaking and I couldn't find another way to save you. And I was like, who cares?
He's laying it on thick. Like, he was never shy about his feelings. If Farah knew how to fucking pay attention,
Right?
he
Because
was
then they
putting it
start
right
their
out there. Like, he was making comments about those who know the truth matter, those that
yeah.
I care about.
Oh man, not even like, a page later, he's talking about I'd much rather you lick my wounds for me. And just like she goes along with it. But then she's like, I don't know, does he like me? Like, girl, he just asked you to lick him. Yes.
Right. Before the otter came, he was telling you to rub your hand on certain body parts and stuff. It'll bring him.
Right?
Like,
He's
oh my.
offering to lick you. Like, come on. I was just looking through my notes, and I think the next really big thing, like we have Cassian and her training, but I think the next really big point of it is finally getting back from this or hearing back from the spring court.
I didn't think the spring court, because I know
Nope,
they did the
summer. I
training.
said
Yeah,
spring.
the summer. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the training thing shouldn't be too ignored because like Farrah makes a real big breakthrough with some violence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is when she was mad that he made out with her, right? No. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is mad when like he had a chance to save her and all he did was make out with her.
Oh right.
I can't like when she says it that way, I get it. But when I was reading the first book, I wasn't mad.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then yeah, and then they find out that she's got
Fire powers from the
her
autumn
fires
fire.
probably from the autumn court. Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah,
it. So they go to the. I thought they went to the court. No, no, that makes sense. Never mind. I'm looking at my sticky note again. I was like, no, they go talk to the Mortal Queens after Summer Court. This happens after this.
right? There so when I first read this book and was thinking back on it, I thought they saw the queens maybe once, but they see them a lot and they talk about them a lot.
I thought it was just twice because like they seen them before, in part one. They go and see them, and then they want something, you know, to prove
Mm-hmm.
whatever their goodwill, and
Mm-hmm.
then they go back again at the end there.
Yeah.
And then all
But
the
they talk
shit
about
goes
them
through.
so much.
They do. I guess it's kind of an important thing. They need these queens to give them their half of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all they have to do is sit around and they're waiting on these queens. But we do go to summer court. And,
And
what?
I'm not gonna lie, if I had to choose out of all of like the high lords available, Tarkin would be my number one. That would be the tree I bark up.
But you don't know the other ones. That's the only reason why. It's because we've sat there and he's flushed out to where we know him. He's a kind man.
He's so kind. Everyone else is mean and politicky, and this guy is just like, I would like to be genuine friends with you.
I know. I felt so bad for him, and I think that was the intention, that we needed to feel bad for him.
They did him dirty.
They did.
They could have just been his friend.
I was gonna ask. Do you think they could have trusted him, especially knowing?
100%.
Yeah. Thank
Oh
you.
my God.
I think they could have. Like, he had the same ideology as Rhysand.
Yeah.
It bugs me what happens later in the book too. So I'm trying to bite my tongue, but at the same time, I guess we can just, slightly put a pin in it.
Yeah, we'll be there in like 20-ish pages. But like, he already, even if you didn't fully trust him, he already kind of owed you one, because like, Rhys could have totally screwed him over under the mountain and told Amarantha that he was trying to help his like people escape or whatever, because it was to Summer Court Faye that she kills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could have trusted him. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he would have given the thing over.
I do too. But there was this one part. It's like page 310, like when they first meet, and Feyre's sitting there, and she's like, he's looking at my chest like he can sense the powers, and Rhysand just pipes up, she's got some nice tits, huh? I just giggled.
Delicious as ripe apples.
Again, no subtlety.
But like, apples are so small when they're ripe. It's not even a compliment. I couldn't. Yeah, that part killed me.
It's enough for Rhysand, that's all. There was one part in there that made me not like him.
Harquin?
No, Rhys.
Oh, okay.
There's a part in there where he said something, and I was like, ugh.
I thought you were going to come for my boy. I was triggered.
No, I have no problem with that man. Okay, he was done dirty. Like, he could have been trusted. It pisses me off that they didn't.
So much, because he could have ratted out straight away, according to all this weird rules that we're never told of.
The bride and the laws of the bride, because someone starts questioning him about, like, why is Feyre here? I thought she was, Tamlin's bride, and if someone asks for her, we have to. And I think that's what it was that I was annoyed at, because, what was it? Yeah. Rhys kind of actually annoys me here, because Tarquin and Cressida aren't even being outlandish. They said nothing about contacting Tamlin, but if he contacted them, they wouldn't lie. So, calm yourself, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, I will murder. Yeah. That's what he said. It's not a promise. And I cringe when people fucking say that shit. Like, stop right now. It's not a threat. It's a promise. A promise can still be a fucking threat.
It's just like a threat that people say that they never follow up on. You're just like, okay.
He's just trying to sound intimidating. Like, you're in this man's home. Okay? And I was with him when he's like, don't you threaten me in my own home. I'm with this guy, okay?
Yeah. But, like, also, you are reportedly the strongest Fae man out there right now, and that's the best you can do. Like, come on.
Yeah. And then it's, Feyre's like, I felt his approval. And I was like, fuck his approval right now, okay? What does it matter?
Yeah.
And then they have this
Actually.
stupid conversation. And I think this is like the second time they've had like this conversation of like her hypothetically fucking someone else. Because at first it was
Mhm.
Cassian and now it's fucking Tarquin. And he gets so
Yes.
angry because she plays into it. Sir, if you don't like it, stop. Stop. I know
Yeah.
you might be just testing the waters to see, but stop it.
But now you've dug yourself a hole, and like you dug it, you gotta enjoy it. Okay, so then is this when they're on the boat?
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
they're just chilling on their boat, hanging out,
They just do a lot
all
of
becoming
frolicking.
friends. There is a lot. I really like the time in the summer court, but there is a lot of frolicking and just working on friendships.
Right.
Because at some
Building a
point she
bond
kind of,
that's not going to do any good.
even though it's all for waste. Because then at some point he offers to give her like a private tour
Yeah, for her to
of
go
all this
find all
stuff.
the treasures and things.
Yeah. And then she's working on that, and then she notices Rhys and Cressida flirting. And then she gets mad.
Right. She's like, that's my man. And she's like, I was lonely and I had been lonely, I realized, for a very long time. I'm like, girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you have
But
been.
also, we knew you were lonely, Feyre. Catch up.
And it doesn't help. We're reading in her POV. If we're reading in your POV and we can tell, you should be able to tell too.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. And it was so sad when she notices they're nowhere to be seen and just like immediately jumps to he must be sleeping with her because he's not. I don't think he's at breakfast and she's not at breakfast.
She
Cressida.
doesn't go to breakfast, I thought. Because when she
Maybe.
comes back, when the boat docks
Oh
and
yeah, she
everything,
didn't have the nerve
they're
to go
no
out for breakfast.
longer around. And then she, yeah, like you said, she
Mhm.
had no nerve to go to breakfast. So she doesn't even
Yeah.
fucking know. And it wasn't until she meets up with Tarquin that Rhys is like, hey, apparently trying to catch her eye.
Yeah. And she just shuts him out. Even though she knows she's lonely. I can't. This girl's making herself sad.
Right. She wants to be miserable.
Yeah. I don't know. Their whole day together, though, because at some point she thinks to herself that he could be an easy man to love. And I I know we're here for Reese, but in my heart, I was like, choose him.
No.
Let's just see where it goes.
No, she don't want easy. She had easy with Tamlin.
I know. It's my toxic why choose self.
What? Why choose
I'm
self?
part of why choose.
See, I know
Just
there's
not
like
so.
book tropes and things like that, and I don't understand any of them.
Oh,
And I'm
there's like
uneducated on them for the most part.
there's a big one probably for people like me who just, can't make a decision. And it's like, why choose? So basically, any guy is up for grab or girl or whatever you're into. Monster, who knows?
I'm shipping
They're
everyone
all
with
up for grabs.
everyone.
This was the point of the book where I was like, if this turns into a why choose, I'm here for it. I'll accept it. You know?
She goes, she walks around. They don't find anything, but she does get a nice necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is it that she goes back to her room and there's Rhys just waiting for her?
On the bed.
Yep.
Just waiting to check in.
And then they have that weird like banter about the. Oh, he asks her like, "How did you do?" And she gives him a necklace. Like, bitch, your mission is not to get a necklace here. You're here for the fucking book.
I full on think he was expecting a book to be in that case, and then he's like, "What the hell? It's a necklace." Like, but I think this is the where the famous line comes from. Is
To
this
the
chapter
stars who listen and the
and
dreams
the
that
dreams
are
that are
answered.
answered.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. When I first read this, I thought that was so cheesy,
Yeah, it took me a
and then
minute.
everyone loves it.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. I was like, okay, I get it, I guess, but
It didn't hit me with any kind of power when I read this book.
no.
I
The
think he's
moment
like,
itself, I think, is what it is, because they have this like real this another heart to heart here.
Yeah, that I can get behind, but the line itself, I'm like, oh, cringe a little bit on that one. Um, okay, and then there another 2 days of just trying to find out where this book could possibly be.
But she does find it eventually out in the water.
Mhm.
Which honestly,
Yeah.
the summer court, why didn't you think that? You're right.
Yeah,
You're on a city right on the edge of the water. It
right?
probably wouldn't have been my first guess either. And
Hmm.
then she kind of just like automatically assumes like this is where it is. That's got to be where it is. And then she asks about the little building out there, and yeah,
Yeah.
okay, Tarquin and Krista gets like all stiff and stuff about it, but she just instantly assumes like, yeah, that's my confirmation that it's there. Like it can't be nothing else valuable. That's where the book
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. I thought she
I thought that it
I
was
thought she
calling
felt
to
it,
her
but I
as
think
well, but I couldn't
yeah.
find it where it said that exactly. She just
No,
had
but
an
now that I'm
idea.
like yeah, now that I'm looking over it, I think she's kind of figuring that out from how he's feeling when she's prying at him.
Yeah, that was the confirmation. It wasn't really until like she gets to it that she could feel something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and I
I don't
guess
know.
she had to be pretty close to that ring from in the Weaver's cottage before she figured it out too.
Right. So, I don't
So
know.
I don't know why she thought walking on the beach was gonna help her, but whatever. She found it. That's the important part.
Right, we got there somehow.
Hmm.
Um Oh, and then she slips into Tarquin's mind, of course,
Hmm.
and soothes
Convinces
it.
him.
All right, and I love how Rhys already knew. I'd be wondering how did he know that I did that.
'Cause I think he's spying on her.
Right, I
I'm
don't
just
think
kidding.
that wall does shit
I'm
between you
right.
two. It's
It's
for
not a wall,
show,
it's a mirror. It's a two-way mirror and he's just watching.
which is obviously incorrect because we are able to get past. Like, there's a whole moment and description of getting past his
Hmm.
wall and Rhysand's, which apparently everyone has custom walls, mind walls. I want to know what Farrah's looks like. It's
Custom.
just glass windows. Like, you're out, but
Oh,
you
it's
can still look in.
the adamant. I don't know how to say that word, but she said it so many times. The heist. We get to finally the heist.
Okay. And I was actually very, very satisfied with the fact that she didn't take fucking forever. I mean, granted,
Hmm.
why didn't y'all bring shovels? But other than that, y'all got in there and y'all got out. The doors shut only because I guess the book made it. Did the door?
It like it figures out like the booby trap, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah, because there's two.
Figures out that she's like Tarquin enough that she can get the book, but not like him enough
Where
to
she can
fool
take
it.
it. Because
Yeah.
there's like two. They dig in there. Once they dig into the seal, then they have to get, or there's another one, or whatever, that she
Hmm.
shapeshifts into people, into Tarquin. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I thought you could only shapeshift into animals. This is neat. Why didn't you do this more often? Like, uh,
Yeah.
never see that again. And
Yeah, actually. Like
yeah,
never see it again.
and then the second door, it was locked, but then it wasn't locked, and that's where the book was. And as soon
Also,
as she grabs the book, the door slams shut,
yeah,
and then
because
that's
it
when
figures out she's
Amaran's
a
power
liar.
comes in. Yeah.
Yeah. I love how it's just like liar and shuts the doors. And then Amber's actually like powerless against it, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
it
the
started nullifying her powers.
because it's the water wraith that saves her.
Hmm.
Don't forget them.
Well, I think Amaran gets her through door one. I think it is the one
Mhm.
the the book closed that first door. But then as they're climbing up the stairs, at the very last fucking second, this other door, the seal, shuts them in to their
Yeah.
watery tomb.
Oh god. Drowning would be a terrible way to go. That's
Right.
like my nightmare. Um, and then in classic Rhys fashion, when these two show up, like dead on the beach, he's like, "What'd you guys do in there? You were kind of loud."
Y'all let off all these alarms. What alarms? We didn't hear
Shows up after
shit.
the Weaver, tells you to shut up. Show up after getting this book, and he's like, "You guys could have done quieter." This guy is never happy.
Right? And then they get to the night court and they're like, Amarin asked her how because the water race, and she tells her, and they just start laughing. And then
That
we
was
find out
so
that
unfair.
Feyre did not need to learn to read this fucking book because Amarin's the
Yeah.
only one that can read it.
Yeah.
What was the point in that?
So many side quests were not actually important for the main quest in this book. They're like really being able to find like things tied to High Lords. Like she didn't really even need that. They knew it was a book. She knew by going into Tarquin's head that it was hidden out there. Like she didn't actually need to know that she could locate specific things from the High Lords, but that was a quest that got her to the Weaver. Like,
And like even later, Reese is like, yeah, we did need to know if you can track things. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
no,
He's
you
like,
did
but
not at
it
all,
was
sir.
also very selfish of me. Yeah, that's all it was. That was all this task was to see
That.
if you could,
Yeah.
if she's,
When we get to that part, it was just for that thing. He just wanted that thing.
We get, rubies.
Yeah. And you know, I don't think he has a right to be as sad as he is because he could have honestly chosen to just tell this guy the truth, and I think it would have worked.
Well, Farrah tried to, and he's like, no, I will not risk my people. I was like, okay, buddy. Listen, I read the rest of the book.
But we do get some flirtatiousness out of it, at least.
Yeah. The stairwell thing.
Yeah, with him, it's in her head picturing trying on lingerie and then she walks into a wall or whatever.
I know. And like, I thought she was just daydreaming. I thought this was so, like, not smutty, but it was like, oh my gosh, girl, you are ready. You want him so bad. You're sitting here daydreaming. And then you find out it's a fucking vision, that he sent that vision because prior to, I think it was Az showing up, he was like, how many times do I have to tell you that I'm attracted to you? Like, I'm not being secretive about it.
And she's so, oh my gosh, she's crazy. Because at one point, he's like, am I supposed to deny that I find you attractive? And she's like, you've never said it. And he's like, what?
Bitch, are you serious right
now? And then finally we get to Rhys's nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? There was their part. It's like, I don't dare look any further down, but then she's like instantly at his knees. And I'm not a medical field, but I know body anatomy, and you have to skip a certain region to
over
get
the
to
part.
your knees. So how did you not?
She skipped over the important part.
I was like, okay, whatever you say, girlfriend.
I'm like, good for her. She can do that. I'm not that strong. If someone is in front of me, I'm like, oh, oops.
Making aggressive eye contact.
It's either if I don't want to see it, it's aggressive eye contact. If I'm interested, I'm like, oh no, how did my eyes end up there? Back up. Whoa.
No better than a man. What do you mean?
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then we also learn about his knee tats.
Yeah, like she really looks at his knees, and all I wonder is maybe it hung low enough.
Maybe it didn't hold long enough. Is what I'm thinking. He is a grower, not a shower.
Yeah, or maybe he's a shower, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm looking at his knees." Wink, wink. There's some mountain tattoos. Nice tattoos, man. And this is also when she gets her idea for a painting.
Yeah, well, she was already thinking of painting beforehand, I think it was, and then this was like her first, like she titled it, kind of thing.
Yeah, this is the one that goes in the hole in her chest.
And finally, of course, a man. Okay, fair. I have it just skipping, and I don't know why. Oh, okay, that's why, because he had the dream, and then they do their little passing notes thing, and that's when he explains the
Yeah.
niece, because from there it then jumps to she's with Amarin and finding out what kind of blood is her favorite. It's like this pointless conversation with Amarin, if you ask me.
This is around the part of the book where I like constantly have to remind myself, like, there is a war coming. We need to stick to a timeline.
It's not just
But
romance. It's still fantasy. There is a plot, not just Thurston.
yeah. I was thirsty by this point. I needed a lot of reminder. This is like perfect YA meets like romance, because you've got all the angst and like the build up because we can't get there too fast. Okay, yeah. So then pretty much the next big one is, I think they talk to the queens again.
Well, they have to. Yeah, this is the first time they meet the queens, because I think what it is I keep the first time they go visit the sisters is what I'm tying it into, and they didn't meet the queens then.
Because they talk so much about the queens that I'm like, oh yeah, they've met already, but this is the meaning.
Yeah. And they winnow.
And the queens winnow.
Winnow? It's a winnow, right?
Winnow. Yeah. I want to learn how to do that. And and it never covers that.
No. Well, I thought it was like explained like he just steps over time. Like he pictures he's here and then he just takes a step into another place.
No, it never explains why the queens come.
Oh, yeah. No, they don't. And I always wondered. But, I mean, if they have Faye putting spells on their book so that way, it can't be taken, it's got to be given, it's tied to the bloodline, stuff like that, who's to say that they don't get just a gift for, like, here you go? Especially since, okay, it took me too long to realize that the mortal queens weren't in Printhia, that they were over here on this piece of land that's called Mortal Lands. Because, again,
he was very creative with the titles.
The map confused me for the longest. In Wings of Ruin, I've literally got my sticky notes on this map because I am like, why is it? This don't make no fucking sense.
I love that there's Printhia, Hybern, Valahan, and then Fairy Realm. Like what?
Oh, at the top of the fairy realm?
Yeah, but Fairy Realms is written like the same way Hybern and Printhia is. So it's its own
I thought that
place.
that it was just like labeling that part of the continent, that is just like Day Court being labeled or Spring Court being labeled. Like it's just a territory inside the fairy realms.
No.
But I also thought Printhia was part of the Fairylands, so I'm not the one to talk.
No, it's not. It's like, because the shapes, yeah, it's different. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, it's not circled, is the best way I can say it. It's just a word.
Oh, but this is a deep dive for a different. Now I'm confused.
This map stressed me out so fucking much.
Yeah, because just the way it's drawn.
Yeah, and I'm such a map person, so like when they mention locations, I am flipping back and I am looking at this like, okay, so this is how this goes. Can I read a map? No. But I'm using the map. And I thought that was just part of the fairy realms. Because it's very vague. You've got Printhia over here, like detailed mountains, everything, cities, the big courts. And then you go over here, and it's literally, here's the wall. This is Mortal Lands. This is fairy realms. There's one forest looking, if it's not mountains, I don't know, in the center of it, and then there's like this territory up at the top, but I thought it was all fairy realm.
Yeah, no, I always took it as like there's Hybern, there's Printhia, there's the fairy realms, and then at the top of the fairy realms is Valhallan, but we don't really know the rest. And there's more mortal lands below the wall that is also below the wall.
Right, because when we get into Silver Flame, that's when the map gets a little more detailed on the continent.
Oh, I never looked.
You never looked? Oh, I did. That was the first thing I did. I was looking at the map, and I was like, oh, they have
I
detailed the fuck
I
out
gave
of
up.
that.
I looked at this map for like book 1, book 2. I looked at the maps and like from Wings and Ruin on, I was like, no, she don't care about the maps. So I stopped looking at it.
No, I am mapping everything out.
I had too many questions because like I'm a map person, like especially with fantasy because I have no reference to where anything is going on. So I need maps. So when I just looked at
It
these two
doesn't do
maps, I
any
was like,
good. The book is not
nothing.
helping. I got a tangent when we get to Wings and Ruin. Put a pin in that because I'm fucking living. Like, what do you mean? But yeah, the mortal queens are from the continent. They can winnow, and they even talk about like the people above them, the fae are above them. So who knows? Maybe someone up there gave them powers. But what pissed me off is
Now
that
I'm starting to think maybe that's how it ties to Crescent City.
that's the connection that I have in my mind. Was it? But that's what I was thinking. You know, that when what if, without knowing what Crescent City is about, my mind was trying to figure out like how is this series tied to it, because that's what I've heard. So I was thinking like maybe that is based on the fairy the continent kind of thing. But then when I look at the map for it doesn't look like anything over here. So I'm like, well, maybe not.
No, I think it would make the most sense that she'll use the power structure there to explain how mortals in this book could have powers but not be fae.
Okay. Well,
But
okay.
the map won't get any better for us.
Well, damn it. But yeah, she's in this room and she leaves her her shield down. And I was like, why? She points it out that I'm going to leave my shield down in case we need to silently communicate. Are you telling me every time that y'all have communicated your shield hasn't been up? Because I thought it was. So
Sometimes it's just a peep show.
okay, but
Sometimes
also
it's
like,
a little,
what if there's another mind reader there? Like, he told
right?
you to keep it up all the time. You're meeting with these people. He can obviously talk to you through your mind shield, whether it's up or not. Leave the
They
bitch
obviously
up.
have some magical powers. These aren't the people I'd be testing. Like my dumb sisters who are human and I'm fae, 100% my shields would be down and I would be making fun of them. But like women who can just winnow in even though they're human, that's not who I'm testing this with. Like,
No.
I have concerns, Farrah. I'm pretty sure this is where Moore uses her powers, but I don't really understand
She
it.
doesn't
She just
use her
says,
power. She just says that's her
my gift
power.
is truth. So you will hear my words now and know them as truth, as your ancestors once did. I thought that was her using her truth sayer powers. I don't
It
know.
doesn't make no fucking sense, okay? You're not convincing me she has any actual power.
I don't think she does. I'm just trying to do my best for this girl. um
And then she drops a little bit of the secret with Miriam. And
yeah, she just
what should have
kind of
been a red flag is that these queens already knew about Hybern. I'm just saying. That should have been a fucking red flag, and it wasn't. Oh, and we also learn, I think, after the queens, because they say, you know, find us a sign of goodwill, and we'll talk. And then Elaine pops up with I hope they all burn in hell. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's backstory on like Jurian and Draken and all that. Draken? Oh.
Which is really important. What is it? Miriam. So, okay, it took me a minute to realize Miriam's human. Draken's fae. Jurian's human. I can't remember Emmer's sister's name. It started with a C, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she was fae. So Jurian used the sister while he had a whole girl, Miriam. And while he was doing that, she was falling in love with Draken.
Yep. It's a lot.
Like, that whole tangle of a mess there. But, and now, well, oh, he's not, whatever. So they have the theory that Hybern is trying to bring Jurian back from the dead. And they found
Yep.
out it is possible. So now, is he coming back to the dead for Miriam? But Miriam is supposed to be dead. But then we find out that she's not dead. Her and Draco live on an island out there with their people. They absolutely refuse to drag them into this situation.
Yeah, except Moore totally name dropped them earlier to the queen. And Rhys was like, yo, kill it. Don't bring this up.
We got that lore on the war. And then they go to the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah.
Because they decide that they're going to show Valeris. And I guess that's where my question of the, he didn't trust Harquin, but he's going to trust these bitches.
Right? And there are some real flaws here in the thinking. Like, Tarquin's open. He's held your secrets. You've kept secrets for him. He's like, nah, better steal it. But these people, he's like, okay, I'll give you my pride and joy of my, not just his, but his ancestors have hidden this city. Like, way to drop the ball.
Feyre dumbassery is rubbing off on you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You are making dumb mistakes. And then we find out Moors. They're headed there. They're outside of the Hue City before they enter. She kind of just drops this, yeah, they tortured me because, like, you know, her most valuable thing was her virginity. And what does she specifically say? What happened?
I think Rhys is the one who tells her. He tells her. Yeah, it's not even Moore who shares her story.
But I noticed that because now that I'm looking at my notes and not just the book, it's like, does he ask before just telling her Moore's traumatic shit? And he does that a few times. Like, he talked about Cass Az's hand. Like, yeah, they didn't offer this information to her. Like, does he mind link them and be like, hey, I'm about to tell her this thing that happened to you. Is that cool? Yeah, bro, go ahead. No, I don't see him asking permission. He just tells them. Right? But we find out that she went to the Illyrian camp because she was going to be engaged to Eris. That's how I pronounce it. Eris. I call him Eris. I don't know.
I call him Eris. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, just to note, Eris is not the one that nails the note to her body.
No, it's her father.
He links her. Yeah. Because I'm toxic and I'm in love with Eris, so I just wanted that out there.
You know what? I don't blame you. I don't know this man, but I do not blame you.
I think we've got a serious case of he's just doing his damn best to survive in the worst court that there probably is. No. He just rejected her because, well, she's no longer a virgin. He specifically puts her, you know, in the middle of their woods where she is found. So maybe he did it on purpose. No.
Wait, okay, hold on. Because she goes to the Illyrian camp, loses her virginity, goes back to the Night Court. They beat the shit out of her, nail the thing to her, and they dump her over the border. Mm-hmm. And that's where she was left to die, basically. Yeah, he left her for dead in the middle of their woods. How in the middle of their woods if it was just right by the border? Have you seen the map? Right. Have you seen the map? Damn it.
It's not detailed, but that one part is. Look at it.
So, yeah. And then Azriel finds her.
If we're looking at the map, if he dumped her in their woods, like the Night Courts, he brought her very far to make sure she would be found, I think. This is just the beginning of my case for why Eris is a man in need of redemption. There's a couple redemption arcs I need to happen, Eris and Tamlin, and if they don't happen, I will die unhappy. Just so SJM knows.
And it's hard to, like, fight the case for Eris without diving into what happens. I don't even know if it's
so much more. Yeah.
But then we learn a little bit more because, again, we're just sprinkling shit in there.
Yeah, I'm just planting the seeds of redemption.
But apparently, but apparently, this is supposed to explain why Rhys couldn't endure Nesta, and I don't understand that. What do you mean?
She didn't nail notes to Feyre's body.
So they have the conversation um, her and Rhys are having a conversation, and she mentions the whole wingspan, I think it is. She said that
Oh,
Amarin and Moore told me that the span of a Illyrian's male's wings says a lot about the size of other parts, and his eyes shot to mine. Like, he knows what's up. But where was this conversation? Because I don't know if I overlooked it or not.
No, you did not. It doesn't. It happens off scene,
That's
off
lame.
page. Yeah, yeah, like 100%. And also, you saw more than his knees. Okay, you can draw the conclusions yourself, Farah.
He
Like, she's
even
showing
says that
heart.
in the next page. He's like, "You liked seeing me naked too much."
Right.
And she doesn't even deny it. She just calls him a prick.
I'm not gonna lie though. The idea of her fingering his wings was not attractive
It
for
really
me.
wasn't. No. It was kind of
He's
just like, mm.
right? He's like flying. That's not, and you're just tickling it, and I don't know. It didn't do it for
And
me.
all he describes it as is it's just sensitive.
Yeah.
It's just
Doesn't he blow in
sensitive.
her ear?
Stay away from the ears. No.
Right. There was a lot of this part was probably the most like grade 8 I've ever read in my life. I'm gonna stroke your wings, you gonna blow in my ear.
Oh, yeah. And then they get attacked, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first
Yep.
time arrows get shot at them.
Because we have forgotten by now about this war. I definitely did. So that when the arrows happened, I was like,
Oh, wait,
what?
there's an actual threat out there. It's not
What's
just a
happening?
hypothetical threat.
I literally couldn't figure out who would possibly do that. And then I was like, okay, yeah. There's a whole ass war, Kaylee.
Well, even knowing that, my first thought still wasn't the Hybern.
No.
For some reason, my first thought was Tamlin.
Yeah. I actually thought Moore's dad.
Right? Someone pissed off. Or even the Summer Court, but my thought was not Hybern.
Not at all. That was not on my radar. By this point, I was so invested on how is she gonna hook up with him? When is she gonna realize that they're madly in love? And then when he got shot, I was like, oh no, he's in danger. This must be when they fall in love. And I'm like, oh no,
No,
the war.
it's not. So we're at the Night Court.
Yeah.
The description of the Night Court is, I don't know why, it just didn't really stick with me. The only thing that stuck with me is she was talking about figures danced and fornicated, begged and reveled. Again, I'm illiterate.
I know why it didn't stick with you, and it's because we're like 400 pages into this book and dying for them to hook up, and you just know it's gonna happen.
Right?
So like, I was with you. I could not, if someone like held a gun to my head and was like, tell me what the Court of Nightmares looks like, I'd be like, Farrah's on his lap. That's all I know.
Literally, my first impression of the place was, there's people fucking in the streets? What do you mean? Fornicating.
All of that went way over my head. I was just like, oh my god, she sat on his lap. It's happening.
Oh yeah, because there's a little bit of parts there that happened before that.
Oh, there's so much. Moore is like described as a queen. We're introduced to the whole thing, but none of that stuck with me. I remember this girl is on his lap. I know where his fingers are. I know how they're placed.
Yeah, that was very it was basically like watching two people grinding that are just totally horny in the club, and you are just stuck at the bar watching them.
You're drunk and you're like, what am I seeing? I'm not looking away. Why am I not looking away? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Feyre's not complaining. I mean, I don't really know what to say too much about it, because it was just like, damn, but that's the role that she was supposed to be playing, just like she did Under the Mountain. But you weren't convincing me that Feyre wasn't enjoying this. Okay, she even is having this realization that, she just hasn't been touched in so long.
She's having the time of her life. And I have quotes.
I don't have quotes. I have highlights.
The spine on my book is so well worn for this scene. I can't. Okay. Yeah, I felt bad because when I reread this, I was like, wow, she really did, like, she described so much of this hewn city, and it sounds scary pretty.
No.
But I fast forward each time. I sped read the shit out of this chapter.
It is so much foreplay.
Yeah. And like Moore has such a big part in the beginning, and I forget it every time.
She's not, we forget that she's even there.
And like Cassian and Asriel are there too.
Az has went to go look for the orb.
But the most important thing is that Rhys is there, and eventually Feyre sits on his lap.
I'm gonna let you take that one away. Because like I said, my only note was, I think she's enjoying it more than she will admit. I don't care.
This is my character flaw. It's like, I start to go over why I like this scene, and then I start to read it, and then I just read it again.
Right,
and
that's what I'm sitting here looking at the parts that I highlighted. My breast tight and becoming full and heavy. Like what was now pulling to my core. He filled my face, my blood, and he's just like, it's natural. Your body's just reacting to it.
I don't even gotta flip to the page to know it's his thumb and his forefinger doing the tracing.
It killed me. The first thing that I really actually highlighted was, you should see how I make her beg.
Oh, God.
Fuck you.
I wanna see it.
You don't make her beg. That girl got you wrapped around her motherfucking finger.
He was the one on his knees earlier doing up her leather.
She ain't even gotta ask.
Okay, before all the horny bits though, this is where like he finally reveals himself too. I always forget that, but like he releases whatever damper he keeps on his power and is like, you know, Feyre gets a little power drunk off of it, basically staring at him. He comes in, and then what is it? He makes her take on the role that she had under the mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, she's even dressed in like the trampy kind of callback dress to it. And then she sits on his lap, and then they just go at it. Although I thought it was very
a lot of heavily petting.
Where he warmed his hands and said sorry because they were cold. Because
So
he cares. Oh my god, when they send Moore's dad off to get the wine and then they forget that they told him to do that and they look over and he's just like... But he's like part 2 of Amren showing up while Feyre's sleeping and he's just stood there with his glass of wine like,
I'm just watching, enjoying the show. Little cucks.
You guys thirsty? Like...
Waiting.
But yeah.
It was like a power play or something. Like, yeah, you stay over there. Oh, wait, we are thirsty. Come back over here.
Yeah, it was a total power play. And then they do their heavy petting. And then Az gets the orb.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it after that Kier makes his like snarky little comment?
Yes. You'll get what's coming to you, whore.
Yeah, that was after, because Rhys tells her to, like, basically you can go away sort of thing.
And I hate
and then
that,
says,
well, before that happens, like, there was a moment there, like, she's fully enjoying herself, like, absolutely, and then out of fucking nowhere, she's like, oh, but Tamlin and I were barely, bitch, shut up, like, let it go. You and Tamlin may have just broken up, but y'all have been apart for this entire book, basically, in my opinion. Stop. She wants to be miserable. She wants to feel bad for this.
100%, because she's even acknowledged that, like, we've danced around and teased and taunted for months. So, like, you know what you've been doing, and now all of a sudden, it's like another male. I'd had another male's hands on me. Like, you're broken up. You're free in the clear. You sent the letter.
Down.
What more do you need?
Exactly.
Like,
and then, that annoyed me. And then we get to the Kier thing where he fucked up, and I bet you what it is that maybe all of it's the problem, but that word whore is what triggered fucking Rhys.
Oh, yeah. He is hella triggered.
And
Because he was Amarantha's whore, and he ain't gonna hear Feyre be called a whore.
uh-uh,
Not on his watch.
no. And then he
Yeah.
beats the shit out of him, breaks his bones. We get to see how cruel the cruel version, the mask that Rhys puts on to be hateful, which I guess it's not really a mask, it's just a part of him.
Yeah. It's also like I wouldn't be mad if someone called me a whore and their legs got broken. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah, and then but
you got what's
Feyre
coming
does.
to you.
Feyre does,
Yeah.
and she's mad at Rhys. And honestly,
I didn't get that. I didn't really vibe with her on that one.
I didn't either.
Yeah, like she gets so mad at him, and he's like, "I'll kill anyone who harms you. I'll kill them and take a damn long time doing it." And then she's like, "You're my friend," but I'm like,
Oh,
"A
fuck
friend?
you, bitch! Stop! No, I hated that.
A friend you just grinded on, a friend that you want to make out with, a friend that like you talk to in your mind and send flirtatious texts, but also friends can stand up. Like I don't know. I did not really get her logic other than she doesn't like when men break things.
Well, not
That's
just
all
that.
I got.
I think what it is she does like what most of us, we get a relationship, we compare. It's not
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's just normal, and that's what she's already been kind of doing is comparing Reese to
Oh yeah.
Tamlin and everything. And even in this same section, he
He
he's like,
calls her
"I'm
out.
not him. I will never be him. Act like him. He locked you up and let you wither and die. Stop comparing.
Yeah.
Stop comparing." And I'm on his side. Like
100%. Yeah.
it's not the same thing as what Tamlin was trying to do. Tamlin was trying to prevent that happening at all. He wouldn't have had you even there, basically.
Yeah.
Rhys allowed you to be there, but he's not going to let you be shit on either.
Right. And even if Tamlin broke anyone's legs in defense of her, like we never saw that on page. That was all like so while he's out in the forest defending her sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She had no problem with it then. Really.
Right? Okay. We need to talk to Farah. I have some words for her.
Right. And then, of course, Rhys is just like, I don't deserve love. Yes, you do.
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah. I really hated that he felt like that he had to go off and come back and grovel. I didn't like that part.
What do you mean?
Just that like he goes off and he's like, she doesn't see him for until Starfall.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back and he's like, Satyr, he said something along the lines of like he felt bad seeing her and he shouldn't have acted that way. I'm really paraphrasing because I'm desperately trying to find the quote, but
And I know the filler part of it because like it goes from he runs off. She admits to herself in this time of him not being around that she wanted him. She was just scared to admit it. Like, bitch, why aren't you telling him this? You're telling everybody else. Because then they have this little. I thought it was a cutesy thing. I think she was talking to Amaranth, and she's like, he thinks he'll be remembered as the villain in the story. And she goes, but I forgot to tell him that the villain is usually the person who locks up the maiden and throws away the key. He was the one to let me out. And I was like, oh my god, he's her Prince Charming.
Yeah, it was after he comes back and he's like, he says he said some horrible things. And I was like, I don't know what you said that was so horrible. Like, I think he said some honest things.
For real, all he wants to know is, what do you want, Feyre? You're just like dragging him around.
He's Noah. What do you want?
Right?
It's true. But I just felt bad that he was like obviously off thinking that like he's done something wrong. Where I'm like, I don't know. I think you finally like for 400 and some pages, you've been pretty blunt with her that like I'm attracted to you. I like you. We should go somewhere. And then she's always comparing you to her ex-boyfriend who's a bit of a douche. And finally you're like, I'm not him. Stop making me look like Tamlin. I don't know. I didn't think he was wrong. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, I did too. But then they get back. Well, I don't know. Starfall happens, and they have a really sweet moment.
Or she's painting on him.
Yeah, I think it's stupid though. Why didn't know? Like they acted like nobody could have told her what Starfall was. They gave her no hints. This woman had no idea what to be expecting. And then it happens. And
And
it's
she
like,
gets hit in the face. I was also very unnecessarily worried about how they said each year less and less show up, and I was very concerned about, like, is this a migratory, like, pattern that's changing? Are there less stars? Like, I'm concerned about why there's less coming, and it's just never brought up again. But, like, I was very stressed out by that. I know it's so, like, off key and not the point of this scene at all, but what if there's never another starfall?
right. Well, I seen because we find out that they're spirits, and I had seen something that was like a theory, I guess, like a fan theory that because she gets hit in the face and then he gets hit in the face, and if they're spirits, that apparently that is like his mother and sister giving them their blessings of some sorts.
I have never heard of that, but I will believe it wholeheartedly
Right.
from here on out.
Like, oh yeah, that checks out completely.
Yeah.
Right, but then they're like covered in the starlight stuff.
And she
he
paints
admits,
for the first time.
oh yeah, the little with the.
Yeah.
Which when you think about this, if these are really
Her little stick
spirits,
figure. It's
well,
painted
not
in their
just
blood and
that.
guts.
Yes, if these are really spirits, and you're just over here doodling on this man with it, like.
Right? Like, what would she do in a hospital? Don't call housekeeping. I'm going to paint a mural on the wall here. Like, no, get out. Oh my God. I never thought of that. You brought it up.
I'm telling you, I'm just like, okay, whatever, sure.
And she paints it, like, on his hand, too, and just leaves it on her face. I'm dead.
And then they go
I
dance.
like-
But yeah, we find
Yeah.
out every starfall. And evil bitch took her to his bed.
Yeah.
That poor guy. I swear to fucking God.
I know. He's been through it. And he never gets a moment's
And when you
break.
really
Right
think
on.
about it, like this man has been like physically, sexually abused for the most part, like that.
Mhm.
And then I just sit there and I think about like how the women, like obviously he's a fictional character, but the way these bitches, myself included, just thirst after him.
This whole book, he is screaming, "I am not just meat," and we're
I'm
all over
not
here
just-
like,
yes, and we're all
Raw.
objectifying.
"You are prime rib."
Yes, we are no better. I'm telling you, man.
100%. He's like, "See me for me." I'm like, I see you for what's above your knees, but below your abs.
I'm like, yeah, you're a good guy. I got you, but now take your shirt off.
Right? I heard you got thick
Horrible.
neck.
So horrible. But then after this, they go to Illyrian. Why do they go to the Illyrian camps? Because I cannot remember. But I know they do go.
I don't know, because this is another case of like my Spice vibe going off and being like, oh, it's happening soon. So this part of the whole story is just a blur for me. Like, I like that they stayed up a little late and then she was sad because she didn't get a knock on her door, and then it's a blur.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I felt her disappointment because I was hoping for a
This is not
late night
calamari.
Yeah.
Calamari, whatever. I'm going, and that is what it is in my mind. I don't give a shit if it's wrong. It's calamari. And it's not tonight. This is Starfall.
Oh my God.
But I do like his first words, or not really his first words, but when they get to this camp, and that one guy, I don't, Devion.
Oh, Devlin.
There is an L in that. That's not an I. Okay.
Lord Devlin.
Devlin.
It's the only human name, so I got this one.
He brings
Yeah.
up Feyre, basically, just acknowledges her existence, and Rhys is like, she's mine. This was one of those other things that put me back into those werewolf books that I was so bad at reading, because
And she noticed it too, and I was like, okay, it's happening.
okay,
Like,
she's starting to open her eyes. Let's
yes,
go.
all lights are go. We've got permission. We're excited. Mm-hmm.
And then we learn that the Illyrians really are just shitty people.
Evelyn is like as progressive as you can get for like, I don't know, I think the 1700s for our timeline, because he's like, yeah, if they finished their chores, they could come fight, but
No.
they just never finish them. So you're like, what? Huh?
Yeah, making them like just pile on the task more and more. They never can.
Yeah, and I don't think he clips their wings.
No, no, because Reese tried to ban that. There's like maybe a few that still do that. I think he said.
He banned it, but they
Yeah.
still do it in other ones. But Devlin is an okay guy and doesn't clip wings. They just can't train.
Right.
The dishes are too much.
And then we also find out Tamlin and Reese's story here too.
Yes, there's a lot of info dumping actually.
I'm telling you, that's all it is. They go to a new location, info dump.
Yeah.
Something
Anytime
happens.
there's no spice, there's info.
So you gotta be paying attention, bro. Just a little. I don't know. The Tamlin thing. So like everyone calls Tamlin tampon, right? And I was always trying to figure it out because, like I had said in the beginning of the book, I thought it was just because he locked her in the house, and now we know that he basically got Reese's mother and sister murdered. I seen something that was like, Tamlin calling Tamlin tampon is unjustified because at least a tampon is useful, unlike Tamlin. And I was like, I can't argue with that. Okay.
I think those memes are so funny, even though I want the redemption arc for him. There are some absolute bangers ripping that guy apart.
My favorite is, I don't know why, it's the same dude, and he's just dancing his little heart off, but he does have the long blonde hair, he's shirtless, and it's always like this Tamlin dancing or getting ready for Calamari. Those ones crack me up every time I see it.
One about a fiddle that I need to find with you that absolutely killed me. But it was just like basically how to impress a girl, and it's like this super macho guy, and then he just busts out a fiddle, and you're like, what?
I think I know which one you're talking about. I think I sent that one to the Discord.
That one kills me.
Absolutely, that's it right there, bro. But yeah, we find out that the actual history behind Rhysand and Tamlin is just, it's so deep.
Because they used to be friends.
Yeah.
They were.
And there's a theory out there that Rhysand's sister and Tamlin had a thing going on or something like that, and that Rhysand's sister's not actually dead, but that's not. I just don't see that being a thing, especially considering at the end of this, I think he talks about how their wings were ripped off and pinned to the study hall. And Feyre's like, I've been in that study. I've never seen wings before. What are you talking about? But that was Tamlin's daddy that did that. Okay, Tamlin was just a little bitch that didn't stand up to nobody. That checks out. That sounds very like him.
Yeah. And then Rhys gets his revenge, kills Tamlin's dad. Right?
Well, no, he killed his brothers. Tamlin, and then Rhys's dad killed Tamlin's dad, and even though he said he wasn't going to kill his mother, ended up killing his mother. And then when he went to go kill Tamlin, Tamlin opened the door and killed Rhys's dad. So Rhys then ran.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna forget that because it's like that is some Jerry Springer drama if I've ever seen it.
That is some shit right there.
That is like 448 to 451 are like, I read them every time and I'm like, I don't know, Jerry, everyone's wrong here.
And then after Rhys tells her this information, she has this whole monologue about it's her power now, it belongs to her, and I was like, this feels a little out of place, but okay.
Yeah, right. He just like told you about some awful stuff, and she's back on. Well, I'm a strong, independent woman. You're like,
I'm so glad you feel inspired right now.
Can we just get a fucking hug at any point? Like,
and then she even admits that I want to paint you, and he goes, nude would be best. He said, in my ear.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, paint me like one of your French girls.
Paint me like a French girl. And then, so then this is the one where they're not at the inn yet. They just have their little corridor moment. And then they go out for training. And then Lucian surprises them, right? Yeah, Lucian and
Because they've been training for a while.
and one of the sentinels that she is friends with. Bronn.
Yeah.
Bronn and Hart. Who get names, but the Lady of the Autumn Court still doesn't have one. Just saying.
King of Hybern. When the fuck do we
What a
learn his name? I guess we just don't.
I dead ass call him Chris in my head because I was just like, he needs a name. He is literally leading this war against them, and he's never given a name. I'm dead. Feyre's father have a name? I don't remember it.
I don't think so. I don't remember it.
It just kills me. Bronn and Hart have names, and I'm like, who are they? Oh, yeah, Sentinels. Not important.
Yeah, Sentinels, we don't know who they are, but they have names, but not the other main character.
And then they get brought up later. Like, they're literally the same priority as the King of Hybern, but just don't have half the power. Like, but yeah, so Lucian finds them, and is like a little convinced that Rhys has changed her mind against him.
Yeah. But I do not like this blaming Feyre like it's all Feyre's.
Yeah, this wasn't my favorite Lucian scene.
No, I fought hard for him until here. Even when he was just allowing Tamlin to do those things to her, like even Farrah's like, you were my friend and you didn't do shit, buddy. I get it. He's a little kid. I think of him as like a little kitten. And
he's
Tamlin was a giant lion. Yeah. So he ain't got no backbone. There's a reason why him and Tamlin are besties, okay?
Yeah, but then he showed up here and he was just like, you should have basically put up with it until like Tamlin got his court up and off the ground. And it's like, why is it in such shambles? Everyone's free now. It should have just gone back to normal. But I don't know. I did not love Lucian's little plot here. And then she shapeshifts into an Illyrian, I guess. And then, yeah, Lucian leaves.
Oh, then they go to the fucking inn.
And then my favorite trope in the entire world happens. There's only one bed.
Of course, there's only one bed. And as soon as it said that,
of course there is.
I go, LOL,
and every other inn is booked.
I was like, obviously this will only end one way.
This is my favorite trope. And the second it showed up, I was like, yes, it's happening. Light the candles. That's what we're all waiting for. So I know everyone loves like chapter 54.
Yeah.
I think but like this it might be technically the next. No. 48 is like my bread and butter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love this one. This is my favorite.
Oh well. They are in the inn. One bed. They play our favorite game of thought for thought.
And they're cold. So they need to share body heat.
Of course it's cold.
The fire department's been. It's too risky. Don't question it.
And he can't heat the room. Well, yeah, he can't heat anything with his powers like he's done before because they're tracking it.
They have to lay naked together.
It was like
the rule.
Like a forced thing. Like they forced them. I hear Christmas music. Sorry. They forced them to be
the joy in my heart that you're hearing. No, this is literally it. I mean, even when she's like trying to just think about anything other than him getting like changed in his clothes and she's thinking of toe fungus, I'm like, no, girl, he gonna be naked next to you soon. Okay, stay on track.
I was in here thinking like that one of mine, like everyone likes that dream, the stars that listen one, but it's then I would have torn the world apart to get you back. That was like I love that. Yes. Catch it all on fire, blow it up. I'll be there waiting somewhere underneath some rubble.
That's the shit I love.
he starts fully just confessing that I'm thinking that I look at you and I feel like I'm dying. I was like, oh, okay.
Right?
Good to know that looking at
Yeah.
me kills
And
a
she
part
can
of
blame
you.
it on the wine she's gulped down, but no, that's not why. It's just finally happening.
Says, I'm thinking that I
Yeah.
can't stop thinking about you, and that it's been that way for a long while. For a
Even
long while,
before
even before I left the spring court, and I was like, "Oh, girl, we
we
don't know
know,
that. You didn't act like."
right? Finally, you admit this shit to yourself.
I was like, because the only time you thought about him was like, "Oh God, I hope he doesn't call in the bargain."
Right. And then all of a sudden she's like, we should go to sleep. Like,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
you're right.
Sure. Let's get the cuddling.
She was ready for it. I feel like she was planning that shit.
100%. I've used that line. Whatever. Because then
Right?
oh my God, then she starts touching his wings. And we've already gone over the wings are an erogenous zone. So she knew. Although she did it with a cold hand, and that is kind of rude.
Right. And then he asks her again, like, what is it you want, Feyre?
Oh, that was so sad though.
I know, because she's
When
like, I
she's
want a
like,
distraction.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
oh,
then
he's willing to take whatever she gives just to have a part of her.
Any scrap. Yeah, just any scrap she's gonna throw him, and he's gonna make the best of it. And I was like, oh no, I'll love you. She thinks over all the things he said to her, and I was dying. Like that, I can't breathe when I look at you because I was jealous. I'm like, oh, you love her.
It's like
Just
he's like,
say it.
she just hit him with that "we're friends" thing all over again.
Oh, it's awful.
Stop
Yeah.
it. And then some more heavy petting.
Heavy petting. And then, but then she is not allowed to reciprocate. Because, he's a stand-up guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a part in here that I was like, I couldn't remember. I don't know. The sticky note says, he says this like she's expected to be fisted.
Like,
I don't know why, but I guess he's slipping fingers in her, and he's like, that's it. His lips tracing my ear. I don't understand my own work here, okay?
I'm dead.
And because after that, it jumps into the... but mostly just wanted to do this. His eyes held mine as he brought those fingers to his mouth and sucked on them. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that's what we're doing. And
that happened in so many smut books. I have never had that happen in real life.
Seriously?
And I don't know. I've never... Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I guess...
I'm trying not to expose myself too much here.
This might be a TMI moment.
Right, I'm going to reel that back in just a little. We'll talk about it after the recording ends. But there's one trope or whatever thing that books do, and it's the I'm going to let myself roar loud enough to bring down the mountains. It's that word of roar. When they're like, I'm going to roar. Like, stop it. Please stop. Don't use that word.
It's a powerful word. But, oh my God, in part 3, we have to circle back to this because I can't. Every time I reread that scene, I'm like, huh?
Right. And then
what?
And it's not any better because my first thought was I'd rather him say holler. I'm gonna holler your name.
I'm gonna holler at the girl.
Why would that be any more attractive?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a growl, but then she overuses that in this book. She really needs a thesaurus, quite frankly, because there's a lot of roaring and a lot of growling that happens here.
Animalistic instincts, I guess.
Like I get the urge to make it like gritty, but there's other words you can branch out.
Agree. But they have this whole moment. It's like, very steamy shit.
There is, and and then he doesn't let her return the favor. I did like how she woke up, cocooned in his wings, and didn't have a panic attack. Then I was like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's love. It's not just sex,
She
it's
is
love.
fully healed. We're not
Mhm.
completely sure how she got over her trauma other than
Doesn't
punching some
matter.
gloves
Doesn't
that one
matter.
time, but she is over it. That's all that matters. We don't get to see
That
how she
one
actually
bed
worked through
trope.
it.
One bed solves a lot of problems, especially if you're cold.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I guess we are stuck in her head, so it's not like she's not thinking about things, reflecting on things throughout the entire story. She is. It's just done in such a way that you don't really hold on to any of it because the love story kind of outshines literally everything else in this book. But yeah, they leave the inn. They're
Yeah.
flying.
He
And
picks the worst time, by the way, to shut down. When she's like finally wondering, like, why did you make the bargain with me? Instead of being like, because I'm in love with you, because like blah blah blah, all this information that we're gonna find out shortly. He's just like, oh yeah, it was all part of my sick games, son. And it's like, no, you guys are so close to the moment.
all right, and then I think he's even about to tell her or say
Mhm.
something before they get attacked because of fucking course.
Yeah,
But he's like, there's a one
but
more
then to be
story I need
fair,
to tell you, but
yeah,
I don't want you, or I don't know. She tells him, I don't walk away, not from you. That needs to be noted. And then, of
yeah,
course, they get fucking attacked.
of course. And like, I kind of also get why he doesn't tell her back at the end because he has done all the emotional weight at this point. Like, he's the one who's like, I'm here for it. I want you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you're my friend that I'll
Yep.
sleep with at the end.
They get attacked. It's ash
And they're
arrows.
ash arrows.
Oh, poisoned ash arrows.
Oh no. And he gets hit, so he chucks her, right? He
Mm.
chucks her. Just so, I mean, I get it. It's a sweet gesture. He's trying to get her far away, but I don't think that I would appreciate being chucked across the forest.
I mean, I don't think it hurt her.
No, because she's like, she's feeling, she's feeling a certain way. She's primal now.
Yeah, that adrenaline kicking in.
Yeah,
That was like what 2 months of training with Cassie, and she a badass now.
right? And she's so like just one track mind of like, I gotta get back to Reese. Reese is hurt. This is like what I gotta do. She's running over trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she has this whole like I guess we get to see how like her tracking. Like, yep, she's still a good tracker. She thinks that
Mhm.
they think that she's gonna take this way, but she knows they're actually gonna take this way. They're just trying to throw off her. Like,
That
oh, look
she
at
can
her with
smell
her big
herself.
brain, but she couldn't put two together.
Right. She can smell herself. I'm like, okay.
I
Remember that part.
was like, oh, can you now? But then yeah, she finds the cave, and I guess they're her
They're beating
torturing
him.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she just wipes them all out.
But also, once again, Reese has been sexually assaulted, raped, and now he's getting whipped. This
It's
guy
not
is
even
having
the
a
first
straight up
time.
bad time. I feel so bad for him. And then, like, so she gets there, she saves him. Um, he's not doing great. So then she goes off and she finds the ultimate tea maker,
Well,
the
hold
cereal.
on, because before that, she does drop like they have this whole conversation because she's like ripping the arrows out of him, right? And she
Hmm.
tells him about the dresser.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she tells us
Yeah.
why she picked each thing for everybody. Um, and I
It was
love that she's so like, oh, I painted flowers for Elaine because well, she likes flowers. And then it's like Nesta, she was
was
like
angry.
flames because yeah. And she's like, I
She's
painted
furious.
the night sky for myself, and Reese is like, oh no. And then he tells her I was looking for you too, and then passes out. And then she realizes that he's not healing, so then she goes and finds Miss
Yeah.
T herself,
The
itself,
tea maker.
whatever. And I kind of was having this idea at this point. I was like, what is this surreal doing in his free time? Is he just lurking around, just waiting?
Oh, 100%. You know, he's just
Fair?
like, this girl dumb. I gotta be close by when she needs me. I think I'm gonna get a cloak out
And
of
is
this.
there only one surreal? Because it's referred to as the surreal. So, like, is there just one? Because if so, then that makes a little more sense. But how was
Oh, I
he
never
caught
thought
in?
of that.
And he was caught in the spring court. Looking at the map, you see how far the spring court is from the night court. Why is he just in these
He's
woods?
a marathon runner. He literally just jogs Springfield.
I just imagine him being like a shadow to Feyre, just slowly, like, just following around, lurking.
I actually picture him when I first read this as just being incredibly busy, and then every time she summons him, just being like completely over her shit. Like, you again? I already said everything. What don't you get? And her being like, I don't get any of it. One more time, explain to me everything. Like,
Right, but he basically just gives her the answers.
yeah. I also love that she's like, how much blood? Like, this is when she's finally asking for specifics, because before she's just kind of gone with the flow.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I
All
need
of the drinking
exactly to
blood
know
thing.
what to give. And then he even
Mhm.
offers information of like, oh, also find this flower. Like, she was taking that. Just give him blood. Cool.
Yeah.
She lets him go. And then he's like, if you wish to speed your mate's healing, in addition to your blood, a pink flowered weed sprouts by the river. Make him chew it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, sir.
He said the word.
He said the
The
word.
word.
But not just that, you're offering this information. And if the surreal knows everything, he knew she didn't know.
Oh, he knew.
He knew. But then
He
he
knew
sits
she
here and
didn't know.
pretends like he didn't tell you.
Right. He also knew, I'm sure, that Rhys smelled of her.
I don't know. I think he just wanted to drop that to you, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know she didn't.
He could have dropped it way back in book 1. He's been biding his time,
And
waiting for the perfect moment.
that is something I noticed, like, when in book 1 he's like, stay with the High Lord. Everybody swears up and down, oh, he's talking about Rhys this whole time. No, he wasn't. He was really talking about Tamlin. She needed to stay with Tamlin to break the curse so that way she could be with Rhys, if anything. But I am not believing that when he said that, he was talking about Rhysand, because he just wasn't.
Oh, damn, I'm over here shook. I the whole time thought Rhys.
No, it would make sense. Why
Okay,
would
well, like,
she
when
didn't
you
even
say it
know
like that, it
him.
doesn't.
Yeah. I get it. I wanted to believe it too until I really just thought about it, and I was like, well, it just doesn't make sense. It would, maybe if like she was visiting with Rhysand at the time, maybe something you could be like, oh, which one is he talking about? But at that moment, he had to have been just talking about Tamlin.
Like, I'm not going to deny that there's some sense there. I just don't like what you're saying to me.
I'm so sorry to crush you like that. It's okay. We can move on. Next, we find out that Rhysand, of course, knows.
He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
And I think
this whole, like, I'm not going to run for you or away from you. And she said it so sweetly, like, grabbed his face, eye contact was there, and then she runs pretty fucking hard.
That was my first note afterwards. She gets back, she heals him, and I love how she's like, I would not walk away from you, but then the bitch ran for the hill.
She chucks him into the ground, and she's like, peace, bitch, I'm out.
Did not give him a fucking second.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
He's like moaning, trying to get up off the ground, and she's like, nah, bye. Like,
yeah.
I can't. And then she's just angry at everyone. Like, Moore helps her, and she's like, oh, is it because I'm his mate? Like, whoa, girl, okay. You've been volatile. People are nervous.
Oh, but it was the, like, when he said, I suspected for a while, I knew for certain when Amaranth was killing you. And when we stood on the balcony under the mountain right after we were free, I felt it snap
Oh.
into place. And I was like, I fucking knew it. Because it's
Yeah.
like I called it.
Right? Oh, God.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
hated
she's
it.
so mad with the whole when were you going to tell me? Like, girl, you just asked him for a distraction. Like, you're comparing him to Tamlin all the time. You're not in the headspace for this info.
No. And
Ugh.
that's what he says eventually in part 3, but yeah. I felt, I don't know, I hated that that's how it came to be. I really wanted him to be the one to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
But of course not. Because we have to have her angry at him now. Because they couldn't
Yeah.
just be. There has to still be conflict. Still
Right?
strenuousness on the relationship. It couldn't be like they found out and he confessed everything. No, it's they've got to have tension and then confess everything.
Right. Yeah, because we're still in the YA. Oh my gosh. We did it.
Yeah. That was it. That was part 2.
It's probably my favorite part of the book. My favorite part of the series, to be honest. There's so much that happens. Like,
It doesn't feel like it. I was just pissed because like why are we having this tension? You finally have it admitted and then you're gonna take it away from us like this. How fucking dare you? And part 3 doesn't even do it any fucking better.
no. We've worked so hard to get to this point, and then it's like, it's a blue ball situation. I've got emotional blue balls, like, oh.
Although the
Yeah.
emotional distress that I went through for like after this, during
Yeah.
part 3, I was like, this was so fucking unnecessary. Why would you have me going through it?
I don't identify with Farrah because I would have found out that was my mate and I would have been like, cool, I'll see you later. I'm gonna go hit this guy up in the cave. Like, I would have been like, yeah, next time maybe tell me a little earlier. But all is forgiven.
If I was
Yeah.
Farrah going into this, I'd just be having more questions.
If I was Farrah going into this and I thought someone else was the most beautiful man I'd ever seen while my current boyfriend was getting some weird witchy magic on during calamari, that would have been my first inkling. And then when he started sniffing and going weird, I would have been like, oh, is he into me?
Right.
You know, investigations would have been done at that point.
In the end, Farrah's not that smart, so we all get it.
I always forget she's 19, but you know, 19-year-old really was. Oof.
I give you some leeway, a little, because I was not that bright either. But all right.
But I was severely in my yes phase. Like I was engaged a couple times.
I was going with it. It did not matter.
Right? Someone could have walked up to me and like in a nonfiction word in our world and been like, mates are real, and I've been like, I'll try it. I'll try anything once at 19. So now I have questions because, you know, mortgages and grown-up life.
All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and catch us in the next one where we go over part 3, House of Mist.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right?
And the infamous chapter.
Chapter 55. Yeah. That's all I ever hear about is chapter 55.
And I always think it's 54, but that's the story. And then 55 is
The smut.
the potatoes to the meat.
All right, bye.
Bye.